Hey, Pinellas County. Otis Dixie here, Clearwater High School graduate, class of 1996, and a proud former USF Bull. Back in the day, sports was everything to me. Now you can relive the excitement with Pinellas County Schools TV Classic Game of the Week. Watch some of the best high school players in the county leave it all on the field and the courts. Don't miss it Thursday night on PCS TV and Pinellas County School YouTube channel. You don't want to miss this classic.
The race for the postseason is on as District Play starts tonight with a confrontation between two South County programs. Dixie Hollins is hungry to get back into the playoff picture after the '97 campaign saw their 5-year playoff run come to an end. Last week, the Rebels took their defensive chances and won in overtime at Clearwater behind the ingenuity of quarterback Joe Deese. Tonight, they'll face Lakewood, a team with its own desire to play into late November. The Spartan offense is prone for the big play, as showcased in game number 1 against Largo, when Greg Taylor got his team started on the right foot. It's a 5-A-10 hoedown. The Rebels and the Spartans next on the Time Warner Game of the Week.
From Dixie Hollins High School in Kansas City, Time Warner Communications Sports presents the High School Football Game of the Week. It's a key 5A District 10 matchup between the Lakewood Spartans and the Rebels of Dixie Hollins. Hello again, everyone. Brian Unks here, welcoming you to Dixie Hollins High School for Time Warner Communications High School Football Game of the Week. I'm here alongside Eric Keaton. And Eric, big matchup early in 5A-10. You hate to see this is a key game this early, but the loser's really going to be in bad shape in the district.
Well, this game is certainly key, as you mentioned. It's momentous, and both teams will look for a victory tonight to carry them into the postseason. Lakewood trying to make a statement. Both teams coming off big victories in the closing seconds last week, and Dixie, of course, winning in overtime.
Brian Brook brings Lakewood in with a 1-0 record. Pretty impressive last week, except their special teams hurt them.
That's true, Brian. And as I said, Coach Brook is hoping to make a statement tonight. He'll need to do that on the offensive and defensive fronts, and he'll need to execute on the special teams. Gave up a big kickoff return, had a field goal blocked for a touchdown.
Offensively, the quarterback, Donnie Davis, a junior, outstanding athlete.
Outstanding athlete, has a lot of speed and a lot of confidence from his coach to put the ball up in the air. Don't let those 3 interceptions last week fool you. They need the balance from him to put it up down the field.
Now the home run hitter offensively is senior running back Wayne Wells.
He's a burner and a slasher. Here's what I mean, folks. He burned last week for 112 yards, but he slashed himself out because he wore out in the second half. He didn't play because of cramps. We got a cool evening tonight. I doubt that'll be a problem.
Mike Morey, the first-year head coach here at Dixie Hollins High School. Tough win last week in overtime against Clearwater.
A new coach and a new desire to get back into the postseason, Brian. They didn't make it last season for the first time in 5 years. They had the best record in Pinellas County, and he hasn't changed a thing. Going to do it with a strong defense and run the football right up the gut.
Running the football, but they have a junior quarterback in Joe Deese who had some experience last year as a sophomore.
Well, Coach Morey likes this guy. He has a lot of confidence in him as well. He scored the winning touchdown last week against Clearwater, and Coach Morey says he gets better with every snap.
The big guy on the offensive and defensive line for the Rebels is senior Antoine Chance.
He's a Division I prospect, Brian. I mean, he is the disruptor. Look for him to get in the backfield and make things happen on defense. He also blocks for Deese well on offense. If that's the only negative, is that he plays both sides of the football.
It's a big 5A-10 matchup early in the season. The Lakewood Spartans taking on the Rebels of Dixie Hollins right here on Channel 7. Brian Unks, Eric Keaton back with you at Dixie Hollins High School. The Rebels and the Lakewood Spartans getting set to tee it up in an important 5A District 10 matchup early in this high school football season. Let's go to referee Ed Hughes for the opening coin toss.
Okay, who's going to call it for Lakewood? All right, here's the coin. Head, tail. In the air, nice and loud, okay?
Tails.
Calls it tails, and it's a head. Dixie, you've won the toss. Captain Deal?
We defer.
Defer your choice to the second half, meaning you get your choice the first half. You want to receive, okay? Which way would you like to kick?
Kick that way.
Away from the clock, okay? If you'll turn around, we'll indicate the choices.
All right, Dixie Hollins has won the toss. They have deferred to the second half. And the officiating crew, the referee is Ed Hughes. The umpire is Tim Wojden. The headlinesman is Steve Byrne. The line judge is Todd Swenson. The back judge is Stu Epley. And the clock operator is Bill Kajovic.
And now the 1990
Our officiating crew getting set, and here come the Rebels of Dixie Hollins. Tonight's game is sponsored in part by Sunset Stitches in the Pinellas Square Mall. 522-6267, the number to call. Mike Maury in his first season as the head coach here at Dixie Hollins. He's been here 8 years as an assistant. He was an assistant way back with Coach Wizzlewati here at Dixie Hollins. And last few years under Todd Wilson, who moved down to Naples to start up a new program down there. He's got a veteran staff. Everyone from his staff is back from last year, so it is not a new coaching staff. Brian Brook on the other side in his 5th year as the coach at Lakewood comes in with a 15-26 record. Spartans, a team with a lot of speed. I'm hoping he can get better offensive line play. They've got some better linemen this year. Big win last week against Largo. And as we talked about, Eric, in our open, really 30-27 really wasn't indicative of the way that game went. They had a couple of special team breakdowns that would have allowed them probably to win that game much more easily.
Well, that's true. They gave up an 80-yard kickoff return. The special teams, they had one blocked, and it was recovered in the end zone for a touchdown. So really they handled Largo. But on the other end, the special teams, they had their kicker kick one through in the closing seconds to pull it out. So that's all that counts in the win column. And when you look in the paper, you see that W, and it doesn't matter if it's by 3 points or by 15.
Indeed, they're 30 points. They had 449 total yards last week, 140 via the air, and 309 rushing. 7 different ball carriers carried the ball for the Lakewood Spartans last week.
You know, one of those reasons, Brian, is because the guys cramped up and it was humid, and as we were saying in the open, it's very light breeze here tonight. I don't think we'll see that happen as long as the guys can get a lot of liquid in their system.
Chad Calhoun will kick it deep to Wayne Wells or Antez Brinson. Kick is short, comes up to one of the short men, number 18 with the ball, Marcelo Church, and Church has it out across the 30-yard line. They'll spot it at about the 36. The offensive lineup for the Lakewood Spartans: Donnie Davis, the quarterback, Antez Brinson, Wayne Wells, and Marcelo Church, the running backs. The receivers are MacArthur Church and Kevin Barney. Your offensive front: Raphael Robinson, Justin Wood, David Meyerson, R.J. Reed, and Sean Christie. Offensive line is a better one this year, but they are not deep. Their top reserve at offensive line hurt his shoulder last week and will not play this evening. Davis, the quarterback, brings them out in a double slot. In motion, Antez Brinson takes the toss. Brinson with good yardage on first down, breaks it to the outside. He will have a first down out near midfield. They'll spot it at about the 47. That is a 12-yard gain, 11-yard gain, make it, and a first down for the Spartans. And the defensive alignment, the offense will be facing, Eric.
Antoine Chance and Casey Tolson. I talked about Chance and McCullough being disruptors. Casey Tolson is a hard-nosed nose guard, and he's going to get in the backfield. Eddie Kennedy led the team in sacks and tackles last season. Todd Lamoureux, Darrell Kelly, Thomas McCrae, Demetrius Hall, Newton Deal, and Manarino are your secondary.
Actually, they spotted him out of bounds just shy of the first down, so it'll be just at the 45-yard line, second and about a foot. Give the ball to the second man through, and he is spun down in the backfield. That is Wayne Wells. Wayne just hurt his average. He had 4 carries, averaged 28 yards a carry last week. That time he loses yardage.
Had some very big runs against the Packers last week, and as we're talking about the front line for Dixie Hollins, all of them bench press, Brian, over 300 pounds, and so they're going to be getting a big push up front on a not so small offensive front for Lakewood, but very talented, and they have a lot of brain power upstairs.
Third down and a yard. Double wing again. In motion comes Wayne Wells. Straight up the middle. For the first down goes your fullback. That's 18, Marcelo Church.
And wrapped up that time by Antoine Chance. Take a look. Here comes the push. Antoine coming right around the corner, unblocked, and just takes him right down. And we talked about it. He led the team last week, Brian, in tackles with 11, 6 solo, and already he's adding to his tally tonight.
A lot of outstanding athletes on Lakewood. A lot of players that go both ways. We'll have to see whether that hurts them in the second half. It's a humid night, but not as warm as it's been the first couple of weeks for our high school football season. First and 10 from the 47, and there is movement. Should be an illegal procedure. We'll wait for referee Ed Hughes to sort it out for us.
Dead ball foul, encroachment on the defense. Still first down.
Well, I was wrong. It was encroachment on the defense. They got into that neutral zone, so it'll make it 1st and 5. The ball moving into Rebel territory.
Well, there you had a shot of Mike Morey, and here comes the Lakewood Spartan offensive line. And Coach Morey told me before the game, you know, our type of style is to stop them on defense and not give up the field position. And right now, with the 1st and 5 on their own side of the field, he's behind the 8 ball.
They'll flood this side. Straight back is Donnie Davis looking for the quick hitter. Knocked up in the air and batted down. It's 52. Kennedy, Eddie Kennedy. He was a defensive lineman last year, defensive end playing linebacker, and he just has a nose for the football, according to head coach Mike Morey.
Well, we were talking about, Brian, how he led the team in sacks last season, so he has a nose for getting into the offensive backfield, and there he's right in the face of Donnie Davis. And that ball deflected up in the air, and the Spartans were lucky that it didn't fall into the hands of a guy in a blue uniform.
Trying to set up the quick hitter out to the flanker, Antez Brinson, but broken up by the big rush from Dixie Hollins. 2nd and 5, Marcelo Church the lone back behind Davis. He takes the toss this way, cuts it up, and falls forward for a gain of about 2 or 3. It'll set 3rd down and short.
Good call that time by the Spartans. Nice push up front on the offensive line. And, you know, they're not going to run between the tackles, Brian. They're going to run this on the outside. They give this one to Church. He's only a sophomore, and he's going to break it out there. And now the defensive secondary has to come up and make a tackle. Nick Manarino in on that one.
And a good job by Kennedy coming up and forcing the play back inside where he got some help. They didn't fill quite as quickly as Mike Morey would have wanted them to. 3rd down and 2. Church remains the lone back in motion. Goes Brinson, give the ball, and it's on the ground. Fumble, and it may have come up to the Rebels. We'll see. It looks like Lakewood has fallen on it. Marcelo Church falls on it to retain possession, but an apparent punting situation now coming up for Lakewood. And that's been the problem, Eric. It's been inconsistency the last couple of years. They get a drive going and something like this happens.
Well, an exchange problem right there between Church and Davis, and the ball comes loose, but fortunately they're able to cover on it, and now they'll hand it over to Ryder Wooten. Big line guy who can also put his foot on the ball, but at times he's been a bit erratic, Brian.
They'll be punting it deep. Line drive, end over end, taken in by 26, Kenny Newton. Kenny Newton getting to the near sideline, needs to get outside of one man, does. And finally is spun out of bounds. Aggressive tackle by MacArthur Church, Marcelo's brother, as he gets it out to about the 38. So a good return by Newton on the line drive punt from Ryder Wooten.
And 5'6" Kenny Newton at 160 pounds can thank Antoine Chance for getting that thing started. He was about ready to get leveled by a Spartan, and Antoine put a nice block to free him up as he came around here to the near sideline.
We are outside this evening, if you can hear the wind coming through our microphones, because the new press box here at Dixie Hollins High School, they didn't quite figure out how to put steps up to the door. We couldn't get into it. The old door came through the bleachers. This door goes off the side, and I guess the contractor didn't quite figure that out, Eric.
We knocked, but nobody was home. We do have keys, though. I guess
1st and 10, Joe Deese gives the ball off to the tailback. It was spun down after a loss of about a half a yard. That's number 20. And the Dixie offense, Joe Deese the quarterback, Thomas McCray is the fullback, Darrell Kelly the tailback, the receivers Kenny Newton, Demetrius Hall, and Jason Gingras. The offensive front, Javaris McCullough, Todd Lemro, Danny Robinson, Antoine Chance, and Chris Brown. That is a good unit offensively and defensively in the front for the Rebels. Although that time the Spartans were up to the challenge.
Ryder Wooten in the middle of that line, coming from his linebacker position, filling up the gap really nicely.
Split the backs, 2nd down and 10. They toss the ball out to Thomas McCray. McCray hitting the backfield, and he's going to be gang tackled after another loss. This one a loss of about 2.
Once again, Ryder Wooten disrupting the play in the backfield, and then coming up to clean it up was Andre Davis, 6'1", 220-pound junior. Take a look at the defense from the Lakewood Spartans. Hester Robinson Goodboo improved in the offseason, lifted a lot of weights, got an improvement on his upper body strength. R.J. Reed, Ryder Wooten. Coach Brooks says he'll knock you in the next week. Andre Davis, Schaub, Smith, Brinson, Wainwright, Wells, the rest of the secondary for the Spartans.
3rd down and 12. The ball back at the 36 of Dixie Hollins. Deese lines the backs up in the I formation, sends a slot to the left side. And defensive encroachment. Big 54 leaning in there, Raphael Robinson. All 6'2" and 272 of him, the junior, got in that neutral zone. That'll cost the Spartans 5.
Didn't see any contact, but I guess maybe he might have just barely touched Antoine Chance, but gets across that line. It's automatic.
That's right. In high school football, you get in that neutral zone, it is an automatic call defensively. So there's no chance to get in there and get back before the ball snap like you can in the pros or even in college. 3rd down and about 7. Give the ball to number 6. He's going to take it. This is Darrell Kelly. He fumbles the football. It's on the ground, and the Spartans have come up with it. Number 30 in there, Henri Davis, their leading tackler, comes up with a loose football. Just when it looked like Kelly might be able to turn the corner of the Spartans, running well to the football, making the play.
Well, he's got it loose here like a loaf of bread. Boom, here comes the hit right there by Wayne Wells. He can run the football and also plays good defense. And Henri Davis, the appropriate thing, just fall on the football, don't need to pick it up and run with it. He makes a nice recovery.
So a good stick by Wayne Wells, and Henri Davis, the big linebacker, number 30. He is a big one, a good one, 6'1", 220, only a junior. Running to the football, coming up with the loose ball for the Spartans. 1st and 10, Lakewood from the Dixie 43. Give the ball to Antez Brisson, wants to throw it, halfback pass, has a man out there, and he grabs it. MacArthur Church with a great ball adjustment as the Dixie defensive back was in great shape, but he fell down. That's a big gain down to the 16.
Hit him where it hurt, Brian. Brinson back to pass. Love this call. Sees Chance coming at him. He throws up a lame duck, but Church, he didn't have to go up and fight for the football, but he's 6'3", 190 pounds. He also plays basketball, and Brinson comes through to Church. And now they're in striking position, Brian, trying to take advantage of that turnover.
Well, Brinson is the backup quarterback, and he's also a great running back, and he got the ball downfield. The Rebel defensive back fell down, and Church there to make the grab. Toss the ball to Brinson. Brinson cuts it up inside the 15. Antez Brinson inside the 5, tackled at about the 2. What a burst of speed by Antez Brinson. That will be a 1st and goal for the Spartans from the Dixie Hollins 2-yard line.
Well, let's see. Look at that pushing up there. They push the nose guard out of the way. Then they contain McCullough. They move him out of the way, talking about the offensive line, and then the rest of it is just Brinson. And the secondary is having to make tackles for Dixie Hollins.
Give that offensive line credit. Robinson, Wood, Myerson, Reed, and Christie got a good seal block from the wingback Wayne Wells, number 3. 1st and goal. Brinson in motion. Church takes it up now. Keep it Davis on the keeper. Touchdown, Donnie Davis. On the option play, faked it up to Marcelo Church, kept it 2 yards off the right side for the Rebel touchdown. 6:06 left 1st quarter for the Spartan touchdown, and they lead it by the score of 6-0.
Well, you can't get a good view here, but just some ingenuity by the quarterback to get in the end zone. He's looking for any space he can get on that right-hand side, and he just falls forward in for the score. And 1 turnover, 1 touchdown. We talked about Lakewood needing to make a statement. They come out with a big play to get him into scoring position.
Greg Taylor's kick is up, and it is through. 6:06 remaining in the 1st quarter. The Spartans strike first, and they lead it by the score of 7-0. You are watching the high school football game of the week on Time Warner Channel 7. Brian Ox, Derek Keaton back with you at Dixie Hollins High School, where the Spartans, Brian Brooks' club over on the opposite side, strike first. They got a fumble on a 3rd down and 7 run, recovered by Henri Davis. A big halfback pass play from Antez Brinson down to MacArthur Church. Another run by Brinson, setting them up for that man, Donnie Davis's 2-yard touchdown run, 42 yards in only 3 plays, 49 seconds off the clock. Davis and the kicker, Taylor, give them a 7-0 lead.
That was Brinson's first completion on the season.
Greg Taylor with a line drive kickoff. Straight up the middle, Kenny Newton. Newton with some running room. Newton is tackled by Antez Brinson. So Brinson doing it all for the Spartans. That could have been a touchdown-saving tackle on Kenny Newton, the exciting senior return man. We've seen him already with 2 fine returns in this contest.
You know, Brian, I asked Coach Morey, I said, who do you have to replace in special teams and wide receiver since DeAndre Rubin is with the USF Bulls? And he said, hey, Kenny Newton is the man. He may not have the size, but he's got the speed and the moves. That was a nice tackle that time by Brinson, shoestringing him. That was the only thing that saved Coach Brook from getting into the face of his special teams. I mean, I went out there and watched him work on the kickoff returns this week, Brian, and he emphasized that we need to stop the field position, but here they give up a nice return around the 40-yard line.
Big-time return by Newton and a big-time tackle by Antez Brinson. Give the ball straight up the middle. Nothing there. The big fullback just thrown back. That is Thomas McCray, 34. He's 5'10", about 190, and they're just bouncing him backwards like he's a pinball.
Well, Ryder Wooten is coming up from that middle linebacker spot, and you just can't say enough about that kid. Watching him in practice, and every time they needed a volunteer for somebody to play any position, nose guard, linebacker, Ryder was one of the first ones to raise his hand, and he's really a challenger on defense, and he really comes up, plugs the holes, and right now the line of scrimmage is being controlled by the Spartans on both sides of the football, and it surprises me when you talk about the defensive line and the offensive line of Dixie, because all those guys can bench press over 300 pounds.
2nd and 12, they'll split the back, send a slot to the left side. Play action Deese. A little time, now he looks like he wants to run it. And he's going to be dumped by Ryder Wooten. He gets about a yard, did not get back to the original line of scrimmage. And Wooten, the linebackers, Eric, are playing very aggressive. They're coming on most of the running plays, and they're watching the quarterback on the pass plays.
Well, he has some time here. He can't really make up his mind. Do I want to run? Do I want to throw? Guys are covered downfield. By that time, Ryder Wooten has his paws on him and takes him down.
Joe Deese is shaken up, and he may have to come out of this football game. He's coming off the field, the quarterback, and that is not good news for the Dixie Hollins Rebels. Looks like, I'm not sure who they're going to put in right now, quarterback. Here comes number 12. That is Adam Dombrowski. He is a junior, 6'1", 190 pounds.
Deese seems to be okay. He was having words right now with Coach Morey. I think he's saying, Coach, I was down on the ground. I felt fine. They just blew the whistle on me.
Well, he came up with a little bit of a headache, I think. And in high school football, you have to come out for one play if the officials deem that you are shaken up or injured. 3rd down and 11. Trip receivers to the short side. Movement on the right side of the offensive front, and it's going to be 3rd and 16. So the Rebels right now, Eric, shooting themselves in the foot. Penalties, fumbles, and just can't get anything going offensively.
Oh, foul. False start, 5-yard penalty against the offense. Still 3rd down.
And that was Antoine Chance moving that time. Ryder Wooten showing blitz on the far sideline, and Lakewood loves to blitz, and Coach Morey is aware of that and says we need to stop it, plug up the holes, get some of the backs up there, but you try to think of ways that you can stop that blitz with some screen passes or some quick hitters over the middle or hand the ball off to your fullback. Ryder Wooten having himself quite an evening, and we're not even, well, we're more than halfway through now in the first quarter.
He's blitzing almost every play and moving him all over the field. 3rd down and 16, straight up the middle. This is McCray. McCray into the secondary. McCray, second effort, will have a Dixie Hollins first down. That is a heck of a run by the big fullback Thomas McCray as he dragged tacklers that extra yard or two and stretched the ball out to get the first down.
Well, some of the guys he was dragging was Antron Hester, and look at the blocking up front. That time they seal off the blocks. He finds the hole. Wooten is hung up in the middle and just putting his head down, and the defensive secondary has to come up with the tackle. But finally, Dixie gets a first down and moving the football.
So on 3rd and 16, they cross them up by running it right at them. And they get the first down into the ball, just barely into Spartan territory, just across the 50. This is number 6 with the carry, Darrell Kelly. Not much there for Darrell. He gets maybe half a yard at best. Another good defensive play by the Spartans.
Yeah, MacArthur Church that time coming up. Caught a big pass play on offense, and he's coming up from his cornerback position. They're playing the run. I mean, Dixie Hollins is going to run the football down your throat until you can stop it. Coach Morey says we need to have about 60 offensive plays to win this game and not throw it more than 15 times. That's not knocking his quarterback, but last week against Clearwater, they only had 40 offensive plays, but still came up with the victory.
Deese back in at quarterback. Reggie Crockett, number 20, checks in at the tailback position behind McCray. Newton and Demetrius Hall come over to this side of the field in the slot. Reggie Crockett with the toss. There is a marker down. Crockett is just crushed. Big hit by number 9, Julian Smith. Smith, the senior defensive back, will not come off the field. He is the leader in the secondary for the Spartans, and he showed he is also a big hitter coming in there at 5'9", 170.
Well, Brian, I am told by Coach Brook that he is the cover man in that defensive secondary, but that time he just put a lick. He knocked him in the next week.
I gave him a couple of extra inches. He's really only 5'7", 170.
How come you always see the smallest guys on the field with the biggest hits?
He made a hit like Hardy Nickerson on that play.
John Lynch.
Brian Brooks signaling he does not want this penalty because it will be 3rd down and about 8 or 9.
Penalty is declined.
Declined.
3rd down.
Let's see from referee Ed Hughes. 3rd and long coming up for the Rebels. Have one first down on the 3rd and 16 when they took it straight up the middle to big Thomas McCray. See what they do here. Back in the game at tailback is Darrell Kelly. This is Kelly to the outside. Markers all over the field. Kelly turns it up, and he's spinning forward. Will be shy of the first down marker by a couple of yards. I think we may have another procedure penalty coming up against Dixie, but again, we'll wait for referee Ed Hughes to sort it out.
It is another illegal procedure call there, Brian. And I was talking about how they didn't want to throw the football more than 15 times, and it really says a lot about the confidence in the offensive line of that man right there, Mike Morey, when he says, hey, look, we're going to run the football. A lot of confidence in his runners and the guys up front and get the job done. But if they keep on having yellow flags like that and moving backwards, they're going to have to put it up.
Go formation on the offense. Decline.
Another procedure call. Brian Brook gambling a little bit. He's going to refuse it. It will be 4th down and about 2, maybe 2.5, but
I don't know if I like that, Brian. 4th down on 3rd and 16, you couldn't stop him when they were running, and now it's 4th and short, and I would have moved him back and ran another blitz on him.
He's showing a lot of confidence in his defense. Now Brinson's dropping back like they're going to punt, but I think they're going to run a play here. 4th and 2, and they will. They'll come to the line of scrimmage with the idea of running a play. Back in at tailback is Reggie Crockett behind McCray. Deese the quarterback. Play action, looking over for Newton. Newton with a flanker screen, has a first down. Newton into the secondary, down the sideline, goodbye, Kenny Newton. That play is going to cover 42 yards for a Dixie Hollins touchdown on a 4th and 2 flanker screen to the exciting senior, Kenny Newton.
Newton received a huge block, Brian. Take another look at it as Deese goes back. Play action up front to the fullback, just a quick hitter over to the side. Here comes the block right there. Todd Lamro frees him up down the sidelines, and Newton is gone. Another good block downfield by one of the wide receivers. And the shaking you saw after that is not an earthquake here, folks. We have our cameramen in the stand, so our guys are just holding on for the ride.
Chad Nikolic on to attempt the extra point. High snap, dead ball infraction. This one they'll do it again. So a gutsy call by Mike Morey, the first-year head coach. He's been the offensive coordinator. He's got a lot of confidence in the big line to give his quarterback some time on 4th and 2, and they executed it to perfection. We'll get this penalty squared away as
Dead ball foul, encroachment against the defense.
Offsides against
We're going to replay the try.
Lakewood. Let's see whether they go for 2. They will just keep the kicking team on and try to tie this game at 7. Chad Nikolic, the junior, out of the hold of Joe Deese. The last snap was a little high. Deese did a nice job of pulling it down. Good snap. Kick is up, and it is right down the middle. 1:52 remaining in the first quarter. Dixie Hollins answers an early Lakewood score. We are tied at 7. You are watching the high school football game of the week on Time Warner Channel 7. Kenny Newton on 4th and 2 takes a flanker screen from Joe Deese, 42 yards for the equalizer. 1:52 remaining first quarter. Lakewood and Dixie tied at 7. Brian Ongst, Eric Keaton back with you from Dixie Hollins High School. Hope you're enjoying Time Warner's coverage of the high school football game of the week. Our third game of about 14 contests coming your way this year right here on Channel 7, your exclusive source for high school sports in Pinellas County. Nikolic's kick bouncing around, picked up by Wayne Wells. Wells is gang tackled and spun down at about the 23. There's a marker. The ball is on the field, and the Rebels say they have it. And Ed Hughes concurs. Dixie Hollins creating a turnover, and they have it in excellent field position down near the Lakewood 22.
Well, Wells comes up, he gets behind the wall right here, and I believe he's going to be stripped from behind. He's going to be hit by Olden Colton, and the ball comes loose right there. And then everybody just falls on it. And immediately you saw Carlin saying, hey, we've got the football, guys. And right now, if you're a Dixie Hollins fan, it's good to be a Rebel. A chance for them to really turn the momentum of this football game with that big run by Newton and now a turnover.
1st and 10 from about the 21. We have a equipment timeout is what we're going to call right here by Ed Hughes. Is Kenny Newton adjusting his helmet, maybe his chin strap coming off the helmet.
It's because he's running so fast. It's flying off of there, Brian.
Running right out of that helmet. He's a blur. 60 yards and 8 plays, 4:05 off the clock. The 42-yard pass from Deese to Newton, the flanker screen on 4th and 2 for the equalizer. Darrell Kelly back in now at tailback. Behind McCray, the fullback. Give the ball to McCray off the right side. McCray into the secondary. And he runs right over number 7, Frederick Wainwright. Wainwright hung on for the tackle, but not until McCray picks up a pretty good gain on 1st down. Give him a gain of about 7 or 8.
Well, McCray remembers that pop he received last time, and he's just putting his head down and going right over Wainwright. McCray bench presses more than 300 pounds. I mean, they just give it to him between tackle and tackle and let him do the damage 6-7 yards at a time.
2nd and a short 3. McCray and Kelly backs in the I formation behind Deese. Slot to the short side with Newton and Demetrius Hall. This is Kelly on the counter. Kelly into the secondary, has a 1st down, and he's finally spun down inside the 10. They'll spot him at about the 9. It'll be 1st and goal for Dixie Hollins from there. 56 seconds remaining in the 1st quarter.
See the handoff, nice seal block there at the top of your screen. He finds the hole. Everybody else is sealing down to the bottom of the screen. Chance and McCullough doing the job, and Kelly just getting the yards, and it sets Dixie Hollins up, moving the football.
Darrell Kelly, a little bit bigger of a tailback than Dixie Hollins has had in their arsenal the last couple of years. A lot of their tailbacks the last couple of years have been the 5'6", 150-pound scat back types. So Kelly brings a little more of a physical presence to the backfield. Straight up the middle, McCray, he's also a physical presence as he's wedging forward with that big offensive line inside the 5 as he gets down to about the 3 as they move the pile on that one.
Well, Ryder Wooten not making any more tackles right now. Wainwright seems to be making the most of them. They're getting past the defensive line and the linebackers. McCray picking up yardage that time. 5 carries, 23 yards right now in the contest.
2nd down and goal from about the 3. Power I backfield. Give the ball to McCray right side. McCray is not there. They're going to spot him about a foot away from the goal line. The line judge coming in immediately to make the call.
Well, this is where Lakewood needs to make a stand. They need to shake off the turnover, shake off the 4th down call that they didn't stop. Those guys right there need to come up big, and they know that number 34 is going to get the football again. You can see him falling up short right there. Nice call by the officials. But he's going to come out of the ball game as we ended the 1st quarter.
That was the final play of the 1st quarter with the score. Dixie Hollins 7, Lakewood 7. The Rebels knocking on the door. We'll be back with 2nd quarter action. You're watching the Game of the Week on Time Warner Channel 7. Second quarter action back at Dixie, 3rd and goal. Deese on the quarterback sneak. Does he get there? Yes, he does. 1-yard quarterback sneak by Joe Deese, the junior. And on the first play of the 2nd quarter, the Rebels jump in front by the score of 13-7.
Nice call by Coach Morey, just falling behind his center. Danny Robinson grabbed the football and had a nice push and just waltzed right in behind him. Crawled right in, rather.
Chad Nikolic on to attempt the extra point out of the hold of Joe Deese. Coming right into your living room. Kick is up. It is blocked. Up the middle come hard the Spartans, and they block it, and it remains 13-7. 11:56 left here in the 2nd quarter. The first play of the second quarter.
I believe it was Ryder Wooten.
Ryder Wooten has been very aggressive in this first half of action for the Spartans. Coming hard. That time he apparently got a piece of the extra point to knock it away. You see him over there, he's fired up.
Teammates right now. He's trying to get him to say, hey, look, you know, we gave up a turnover here, but no problem. It's offensive time to get the football back. He is fired up.
Well, and you saw what their offense can do. They put up 449 yards last week against Largo. Dixie probably with a little better defense than Largo, but they moved the ball well on their one possession for the touchdown after the turnover. So Mr. Wooten is correct. Keep your head in the game, guys, and let's get right back in this and answer with a score of our own. This game could go back and forth tonight, Eric. We'll see whether Lakewood can stay with the Rebels, and if they play good, solid football and don't turn it over, I think they can.
Well, you know, we were talking about in the open, both teams played very close games last week, and you hope that they save some for tonight on the game of the week so they can go at each other. I mean, Lakewood has not been to the playoffs since '93 and '94. You talk about the great runs of Dixie Hollins. You know, every kid, you know, wants to remember his high school career and get a piece of that playoff picture, and to do it, Lakewood has to beat the big teams, and they are Northeast, St. Pete, and Dixie Hollins.
Chad Calhoun kicking deep to Wells and Brinson. High short kick coming down to one of the up men. And he is spun down out across the 35. Greg Taylor with the return.
Kicked the game-winning field goal last week against Largo.
Greg Taylor, their kicker, and he's returning the kickoff, Eric. Yeah. So these kids in high school, they do it all. I don't think you'll see Michael Husted returning too many kicks.
Oh, yeah, I think a few people would like to see. There's Deese.
21 yards after the turnover on the kickoff. Took him 6 plays, 1:49 off the clock, and a 1-yard quarterback sneak by Joe Deese. He was shaken up a little earlier, but came right back into the game. Here's the counter play. They get the ball to Wells. Wells to the outside, showing that great speed, but he is bumped out of bounds before he really got a chance to turn the corner. Made a good gain of about 8 yards as it is.
And he was just going to keep on running. I mean, what speed to the outside. Nice block that time. That's Wooten. Comes around to the outside. He just keeps on going. Beat the defenders to the corner, and he does. And just basically goes untouched and out of bounds.
2nd down and 2. The ball on the 44 of Lakewood. Backs will be in the I formation. Give the ball to Wells, spinning forward, and he'll be very close to the first down. I think they gave him the forward progress. It will be close.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to give it to him. He went out about 3-yard carry, and then they knocked him back. That was after his forward progress was stopped. Gets the lead block, clean handoff. Chance trying to disrupt plays in the backfield. He got back in on that one. But Wells was able to slip through and pick up the first down.
1st and 10 for the Spartans at their own 47. Officials timeout on the field. Now we're set. Henry Davis is the fullback. Wells the tailback in the I formation. And a defensive encroachment. As number 4 got in the neutral zone, KC Tolson. Tolson is a senior nose guard, transfer in, I believe, from Haines City.
Haines City, correct, Brian. And you know, in talking with Coach Brook this week, he said that this kid, KC Tolson, reminds him of a Brian Houston from Northeast, who was the Pinellas County Player of the Year for the area last season. And that's a lot of big shoes to fill. I mean, even though he plays for Dixie Hollins, he said he can really just make some moves into the backfield. Coach Morey for Dixie Hollins says, hey, look, I just have him line up on nose guard and say, go get the quarterback, go after the football.
Give the ball to Davis, pitches it back to Wayne Wells. Wayne Wells gets a block. Oh, that's a close call. They're going to bring it back. And I don't know about that one. Let's see if we can see it on the replay. It was a crackback block, and they're going to call a clip or a block in the back because Kenny Newton was up there. And let's see whether he got in front of the pads or not.
Andre Davis sees Wells right here. He's like, hey, man, you got to carry the football. He got him on the shoulder pad. You can see that some of the coaches calling for it over there on the Rebel side, but they are going to call it back. And
that is a close call, Eric. That is a very close call. It looked like he might have been in front of that shoulder pad. That's a shame. That was a nice effort by MacArthur Church, the wide receiver. Kenny Newton trying to make the tackle, and they will call it a clip.
Clipping. On the offense, 15-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Here comes Newton coming up. There's MacArthur. Well, I think he got him on the back of the shoulder blade there, Brian. You got to give the official the benefit of the doubt.
That is very, very, very close. It was up high. It wasn't on the legs. But they call it a clip nonetheless. First and long. Run the wingback counter play to Wells. Wells trying to get to the outside. Wells turns it upfield. And he gets back near the line of scrimmage. Had a lot of yardage to make up. It was first and about 24. It's going to be second down now and about 14 or 15, depending on the mark. They'll mark it back a little bit, so it'll be second down, and we'll call it 15.
Antoine Chance was chasing Wells that time from his left defensive end position, and he might have just got a little bit of the shoestring to cause him to trip up a little bit and fall forward, but he still made a nice gain. Pretty good balance once Chance put a finger on him.
Davis and Wells remain the backs in the I formation behind Donnie Davis. Right up the middle, not much there. And it's going to bring up third down and long. Third and about 13 after Donnie Davis kept it on the option play.
Well, they're trying to mix it up here. They fake it up the middle. He keeps it. At least you hope that they're mixing it up, trying to give some of their guys a rest. 7 different guys last week carrying the football for nearly 400 yards on the ground.
Holden Colton, number 60, one of the first men in there for the Rebels. Third and 13. Davis, big rush. I don't know if they were trying to set up a screen. He just throws it away. Out here was MacArthur Church, but he had absolutely no chance. It looked like they were trying to set up a screen, Eric, the way they came through so quickly, but there was no back out here on the flat.
No back and about 4 wide receivers down around the 30 to 25-yard line. Kennedy coming in that time. Here comes the rush is on. Chasing him, and he only had a receiver, MacArthur Church, that he was throwing to, but the ball was clearly out of bounds. Church wasn't even looking for it.
And the way the lineman did not go out to set up a screen, I think Dixie just blew right by the offensive front that time of the Lakewood Spartans. Ryder Wooten is the punter. Kenny Newton, the deep man. Demetrius Hall is your short man.
Well, the offensive line did not block well last week against Largo and allowed the defenders to get back there and caused the quarterback, Donnie Davis, to get rid of the football sooner than he would have liked. Reason for those 3 interceptions against the Packers. But still, you have to like Coach Brook and saying, I'm still going to put the football up in the air.
Fourth and about 13. Snap gets back there. Wooten gets it off. Not a bad punt. Line drive. Newton takes it, fumbles the ball, and he jumps on it. Did he retain possession, or do the Spartans have it?
That's who's stronger than the other player.
Say they haven't, so do the officials. So the Spartans get a big turnover, just like they were victims of a similar turnover on the kickoff. They will have it inside the 30 of Dixie Hollins as it hits Newton right in the face mask.
And the poor kid, it hit him in the face mask and jarred his head, and he was right in front of his eyes. He wasn't able to see to try to pick up the football. And Lakewood, just nice coverage down there when they were able to fall on it.
It might have been Henry Davis, number 30. He was down there in the pile somewhere. I don't know if he came up with the ball or not. Couldn't tell from our camera angle, but good hustle down there by the cover teams of the Spartans.
You get a scuffle going on down there, Brian, and all kinds of things are going on when you're down the football ground. Just reaching and scrapping for that football.
Marcelo Church back in at the fullback position. Another dead ball infraction. Actually, a timeout is called by Dixie Hollins. Dixie Hollins has called a timeout. 9:15 remaining here in the second quarter. Well, the tail of the tape last week, Eric, as you can see, both teams in tough battles.
Yeah, and then the one thing that you notice right there is Dixie Hollins, when Coach Morey was saying we need more plays, passing yards and rushing yards. Clearwater outgained them offensively, but yet they still came up and was able to win the football game due to field position and a busted play in the overtime. And Lakewood, the 409 yards, not indicative of what they did. They gave up a couple big plays on special teams and really could have came up with a big win there at Largo.
Well, next week we will be at Countryside High School for a North County backyard rivalry as the East Lake Eagles, who have a tough game this evening against Hillsborough High. Countryside playing Pinellas Park this evening. Both teams looking pretty good early this year. We'll have that game for you next week right here on Channel 7. Looking forward to seeing some of the big guys up there.
East Lake taking on Hillsborough tonight, a huge game in the 6A district. Countryside taking on Pinellas Park. Pinellas Park looking huge against Gibbs last week.
They played very well. Countryside with Clint Mitchell, Kyle Tefelsky. Eastlake with a big, strong offensive line. That's a good matchup. 1st and 10 from about the 26 on the counter action. Wells through the hole. Wells gets inside the 25. They'll spot him at about the 23.
Able to keep his head down. Slid right past Antoine Chase, who broke through the line of scrimmage. Right here when he receives a football, he sees him coming and shakes him off, and he's able to get through and fall forward to pick up a few yards.
Second down and 7. Marcelo Church, the lone back, in motion goes Wells. They'll toss the ball to him. Wells will cut it up inside of Church's block, and filling quickly the linebacker's ball on the ground, and it's recovered by Lakewood. Ball's been on the ground a lot in this first half, Eric.
Man, it kind of amazes me because last week we had some humidity problems and some guys getting tired. In the second half, I can see it, but this, the ball game is basically just beginning. We're still about 8 minutes away from the second half, and here Wells goes to the outside, gets hit, loses the football, and everybody basically kind of stands around for a second, and there you see some Dixie Hollins guys running after it. The whistle had not blown, and fortunately for the Spartans, they fell on it.
Well, one of the reasons why we have balls on the ground is because both teams are hitting very hard, running to the football aggressively defensively. 3rd down and 5. Marcelo Church up the middle. Church will not get there. He gets just inside the 20 to about the 19. Decision time now for Brian Brook. It'll be 4th down and about 3 or 4. And this will be a fairly long field goal if he decides to kick it.
Well, Taylor kicked a 35-yarder to win the game last week, and he is trotting onto the field. So Brook has faith in him to knock this one through the uprights.
Well, it'll be about a 36 or a 37-yarder depending on the spot. We have 7:21 remaining here in the second quarter. Dixie holding on to the 13-7 lead.
Well, Taylor came in the football game, but they're lining up to run a play.
Yes, they are. He came in as a receiver. They'll give the ball, and nothing there to the tailback, and absolutely nothing there as Brinson is stuffed by that stellar Dixie Hollins front 7 on defense.
Eddie Kennedy and Javaris McCullough with the pressure. We talked about Kennedy leading the team in tackles last season. There you see him on the outside, and coming along on the outside, Olden Colton from his outside linebacking position. And that in itself is a turnover.
4th and 3 or 4, fairly long distance. They try to run right at them, and the Dixie defense was up to the challenge.
That's 2 4th down decisions by Lakewood. As you take that haven't gone their way, as you take a look at Eddie Kennedy coming out of the ball game now.
Eddie Kennedy and company on the sideline defensively doing a nice job for the Rebels. Rebels look a little confused now, looking for another player, and finally running number 48 out there, Jason White. They may be in danger of a delay of game here. Let's see what happens. Deese gets him up in a hurry, backs in the I formation. Gives the ball to Kelly. Kelly hitting the backfield and spun down. Darrell Kelly. And Lakewood again on running plays, Eric, shooting the linebackers through the gaps on every play.
And that time, one of the guys on the front 4 got in there. Raphael Robinson, watch him. He's going to come through right there. Wraps up the ball carrier and takes him down. They got good push that time coming up front. Robinson only a, check that, make it Joe Goodboo. Guy who improved his upper body strength in the offseason, and also talking to Coach Brook, he says, a lot of people are talking about Antoine Chance, how he went from bench pressing 220 to over 300 pounds. He said, hey, if it wasn't for our weightlifting room on the Spartan campus, he wouldn't have done much of that. So he says, we're just as much to blame for Chance's improving his upper body strength during the offseason as Dixie Hollins is, claiming that they helped him as well.
Well, a lot of the Dixie kids live in that area, and some of them are bussed up here. I want to remind you to join us on Monday evening. Mark Robinson and me for the Bucks Extra Point live at 6 o'clock. We'll be with you this Monday after the Buccaneers go up there to Lambeau and beat those big bad Green Bay Packers. Monday at 6, so right here on Channel 7, another dead ball infraction. It has become Flag Day again here in the first half. Still early in the season, but Flags on seems like every other play, Eric.
Well, you know, Coach Morey says that he hears this from a lot of coaches, and he believes it too, that you can tell a lot from your team from game 1 to game 2. And right now, both teams jumping off sides, delays of game.
Foul, failure to wear proper equipment prior to the snap, 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
That means either someone did not have a face mask or face strap on, chin strap, or a mouthpiece. Probably didn't have the mouthpiece in.
And it's probably a young man coming out of the game.
Hopefully they warned before they called that. I'd like to see them at least warn a player, get the chin strap on or that mouthpiece in, or we're going to have to call you a penalty.
They warn him because also they're calling it for safety reasons as well. But
absolutely. Second down at about 17. Deese straight back, looking for the little screen, dumps it off to McCray. McCray trying to turn it up, but not much there. The first man in there was number 7, Frederick Wainwright, and he got a lot of help.
Yeah, Wainwright stopped his forward progress, and then McCray was able to slip through and fall forward for a few more yards before the rest of the Spartan defense got there to help out Wainwright.
Officials timeout on the field. It's the mid-quarter water break. Good rule here in high school football because of the cramping issue. 5:35 remaining second quarter. The Rebels holding on to the 13-7 lead. We'll take a timeout. You're watching the high school football game of the week on Time Warner's Channel 7. Back at Dixie Hollins, Brian Unk's back with Eric Keaton. 5:35 remaining second quarter. The Rebels holding on to a 13-7 lead, facing a 3rd and 12 from deep inside their territory. The ball spotted at their 18. Needless to say, Eric, this is a big play for both teams in this contest. If Lakewood can hold them, they should get the ball back in excellent field position.
Well, on 4th down and 2 last time, Dixie Hollins ran with the screen play just like they did before they got in this situation. And then on another possession on 3rd and 16, they ran the football. So I'm not going to guess what they're going to do here.
Trips to the short side. McCray the lone back behind Deese, the junior quarterback. Deese rolling it this way, looking for the throwback, firing it deep to Newton. Newton out there, perfect pass, first down. Dixie Hollins out to their 45. Joe Deese on the throwback crossing pattern. Newton came all the way across the formation and hauled it in on the run. Pretty play, Eric.
Definitely, you have to like the play action. Deese rolling out, looking, plenty of time. Then right before Ryder Wooten gets there, he delivers the football on Newton, hit him on the run. Tackle coming up that time by Antez Brinson.
Boy, good concentration.
Definitely
Ryder
good concentration.
Wooten was bearing down on him and put a hit on Joe Deese, but he hung in there and threw it perfectly.
You have to like that throw. He was just waiting for him to break open. Then he saw him at the last. I mean, it's hard to see a guy who's 5'6" running down the field, smaller than everybody else. And then he just let it up there, and Newton just ran underneath it. 28 yards on the play, his second catch.
And a fumbled snap, and Deese goes down to a knee to pick it up, and it's a dead ball there. That was a well-designed, well-executed play on the previous play, and then they come out and they fumble a snap. So still the
guys get excited, I guess.
The consistency still early in the season. Watch this. Deese goes down to a knee, picks it up, tries to get up, but as soon as that knee picks it up with the ball on the ground, the knee on the ground, it is a dead ball.
Well, Deese, smart, picking the ball up, wants to run with it. I mean, that's how they scored last week in overtime, an 8-yard broken play, and he ran it into the end zone to win the ball game.
Terrell Kelly, the tailback behind McCray in the I formation. Kelly takes the short side toss, tries to cut it up. Brinson or make that number 7 once again. Frederick Wainwright, we've been calling his number a lot. The fine young defensive back. He's a junior, and he's making a lot of initial hits. Had some help from Wooten and company.
Well, Wainwright is the big hitter in the defensive secondary. Hester coming up as well. Shakes off a block, you gotta like that. He shakes off the block and then stays at home for the tackle. Wooten comes in and helps.
Yeah, that was Antron Hester, one of the first men there, the senior defensive lineman. He's also a fullback, but that's it. He took on a block, did the defensive back, Eric. That's a great point. He's only 150 pounds. He took on a blocker and made the play. 3rd and about 11. Our buddy Mark Robinson would have liked that play. That's how he used to play that position. Backs in the I formation, play action, Deese. Looking on the out pattern, and it's a diving effort. Did he come up with it? Yes, he did. Fine diving catch out there by 48 Jason White, the junior. But it'll be short of the first down. It'll bring up 4th and about 4 and an apparent punting situation for the Rebels.
I got to go for it. You got to like this touch here by Deese, but you know, it didn't look like anybody was getting into his face. It was tight coverage that time by the Spartans. He could have stopped, planted a foot, and fired it in there. Maybe keep the receiver running down the field. because they are well short of the first down. They're going to go for it, Brian.
It looks like they will, and this is a gamble with 2:35 and counting remaining. If the Spartans hold them here, it's right at midfield. They've cut the field in half instead of pinning them deep in their own territory as Dixie leads at 13-7.
If they don't run the football, I'd like to see Deese roll out, make something happen.
McCray and Kelly, the backs in the I formation, slot to this side. Deese, the quarterback, gives it to McCray, and there is absolutely nothing there. The Spartans have held. They have the ball at midfield with 2:11 left here in the first half. So the gamble by Mike Morey backfires, and Brian Brooks' aggressive defense making another nice play.
Still, even though they didn't make it, you have to like the call. Going for it near midfield. You have the lead. You just got the football back after stopping them on a turnover. And both coaches tonight going for it.
1st and 10 from midfield. I would have kicked that ball, Eric. You pin them deep in your territory. You're winning 13-7. They've had problems with the kicking game. I would have kicked that thing out of there. But Mike Morey, the offensive coordinator, knows a lot more about this game than I do. Toss the ball. This is Brinson. Brinson cutting it up. Brinson for a gain of about 7 on first down. Still plenty of time with which to work for the Spartans.
So you never know what coach is going to do. Indicative of Jimmy Johnson in that preseason game, onside kick 3 times in a row. Coaches are a different breed.
Well, you know which college football team I like, and the coach I follow would have kicked that thing every time. But some people say he's too conservative and boring, so it's just the style that you prefer. 2nd down on a long 3. Marcelo Church, the fullback. Play action. Davis gets it over, and it's short. Great pass rush coming straight up the middle by the Rebels. McCray was in there, as was this big 56 Javaris McCullough.
You know, a lot of attention goes to Antoine Chance, but Javaris McCullough's just about the same size. He comes through this time. It looks like they're wanting to set up the screen back behind the quarterback, and there's Javaris McCullough, gets his hands up in the air, disrupts the play, and gives himself a hand.
That's a nice play because he was going to follow that screen man, as you said. Then he broke in on the quarterback, Davis, and I think he got a little piece of that ball, causing it to fall incomplete. Big play here, 3rd, and we'll call it 4. The ball just inside the 45. They need to get to the 40.
They ought to throw the ball to Church. He has about a foot on Newton out there.
They'll throw it to him on the out. Well-delivered ball, and Church has it. Church with a move. Church down this near sideline. Cuts it back inside the 20. He's going to be tackled at the 11. It'll be 1st and 10 from there, just outside of the 10. It was an out pattern. It was a well-delivered ball and a well-run route, and the defender fell down, Eric.
Well, I was talking about how Church, 6'3" out there against Newton at only 5'6". And then he just breaks away, and guess who comes up and makes the tackle? Antoine Chance. Not giving up. That's
great
leadership
hustle
right there.
That might have been a touchdown-saving tackle. Everybody here getting rowdy in front of us because the cheerleaders are throwing out the little souvenir footballs that they do here at Rebel games.
I thought they were mad over the football play.
Well, maybe they didn't like our call of the players.
I saw things flying. I was shutting up.
1st and 10 from just outside the 10-yard line. Marcelo Church is the lone back. On the counter play, Wayne Wells to the outside, has the corner. Wells, touchdown, Lakewood. Wayne Wells takes it 11 yards off the left side, wide open. Good blocking by the offensive front, and we are tied at 13 with 1:07 left in the first half.
Well, Wayne Wells picks up his 3rd touchdown on the season. You see him take the handoff, and already the quarterback, Donnie Davis, is clapping. He can see it wide open country over there in Rebel land, and he just runs into the end zone untouched. He almost started to do a little Deion Sanders strut, but remember, if you celebrate in high school football, you'll get thrown for the flag, and he wants to celebrate the right way, and that's by putting points on the scoreboard.
Greg Taylor's kick is up, and it is good. The Lakewood Spartans converting the extra point, take the 14-13 lead here in the first half. 1:07 remaining, and that is a stunner to this near sideline. So they gamble on 4th and about 3 or 4 by Mike Morey offensively to turn the ball over to Lakewood at midfield. Has backfired as the Spartans take it in for the tying touchdown, and the PAT puts them ahead by 1 point at 14-13.
Well, that big extra point miss blocked by Ryder Wooten now comes into play now, and Lakewood trying to avenge a loss from last season as well to Dixie Hollins, and they're still in this ball game despite both coaches making the 4th down calls.
And also the turnovers in each end of the field. Right now the Dixie Hollins crowd a little quiet. Lead changing hands. We got ourselves a good football game going right now, Brian.
Onside kick. Ball bouncing in the air, and it is recovered by the Rebels. That's a great play over there by the Rebel who came down with the ball. It was bouncing around.
He kicked that thing a little too hard.
That's 48. That's 48. Jason White, who had the nice reception, the junior. He's only 5'8", Eric, at about 160, and he saved what could have been a disaster for.
With around a minute left here in the first half, I like the call by Coach Brook. I mean, if they didn't kick the ball too hard, they had it 10 yards down the field, and their guys were all over it. The special teams on that side happened to fall back in coverage, and the ball just happened to go right to him.
Again, the special teams for Northwest.
The ball at the 43. 1:03 remaining. See whether Mike Morey tries to move them down via the passing game or stays on the ground. They've been fairly conservative. They had a couple of nice pass plays. They had the flanker screen for the touchdown to Newton, and they had a big throwback to Newton on a crossing pattern to get them out of deep territory, and a first down near midfield on one possession. Deese the quarterback. The lone back is McCray. McCray takes it on the counter. McCray trying to bounce it outside. Nothing there. Good defense. The Spartans again are running defensively to the football aggressively.
He's a north to south runner, Brian. He needs to keep his head down and just move it up the field. He's got some power. We were talking about him bench pressing more than 300 pounds. He sees those white shirts coming, and he says, I think I'm going to try to bounce it to the outside. But, when you have three guys on you that weigh more than 220 pounds, you're not going to go anywhere. So just keep your head down and push for the yardage, not get moved backwards.
R.J. Reed, Henry Davis, and MacArthur Church triple teaming him on that play defensively for the Spartans. Second down and 9. Play action Deese stepping up, has a little bit of time, firing underneath, has his man McCray. McCray for a first down inside Lakewood territory. They'll spot him out of bounds right at about the 40-yard line. Clock stops with 21 seconds left here in the first half.
Nice call, nice decision that time by Deese. The pressure was coming on, and you could see him sidestepping, looking, waiting for his receiver to break open. Then he hit him right on the run. That's what you want to do when you're a young quarterback. Showed a lot of poise that time, waiting for the receiver.
Yes, he did, Eric. That's a good call. He could have panicked a little bit early. He had a rush early, stepped up inside of it and waited, much as he did on the long pass to Newton. He got crushed on that particular play by Ryder Wooten. He has shown a lot of poise back there when he's been rolling out or in the pocket. Officials timeout. 21 seconds remaining, 14-13. Dixie would at least like to get it down to try to get a field goal to take the lead going in here at halftime. Still need to pick up about another 20 yards. Split the backs. Behind Deese, slot to this side. Deese with time, quick hitter, Demetrius Hall off the fingertips. Looked like Hall may have slowed down a little bit. Deese led him. If he kept running, he might still be running with the football, but it falls incomplete. 17 seconds left.
Nice drop back. Watching his receiver the whole way, and you look at Hall, he would have been open. If he would have caught the football, he would have kept going. I doubt Ryder Wooten would have hit him, but as soon as he caught the football, but only about 5 or 10 yards down the field, so they would be in field goal range.
Second and 10, but more importantly, Eric, second and 10, more importantly, there are only 17 seconds left on the clock. Split the backs again, slot to this side. Deese rolling it to the right side, throwing underneath to McCray. McCray out of bounds right at the 30. They'll spot him actually at the 33 or 32. Thought he got upfield a little further than that, but it's on the far side from here.
Well, I'd still say they need about 10 more yards. They're running the same play they did to get him in this situation. He came up a little short.
He went out of bounds right at the 31, and they spotted him back at about the 32 or 3. They call it the 32. Second and 2. 12 seconds remaining here in the first half. The clock is stopped because he went out of bounds. If they get a first down, the clock will stop to move the chains. Kelly checks out. Looks like Melvin Turd has checked in number 32 into the backfield. 2nd and 2. D straight back. Looking for the deep fade pattern. Has a man out there. And it falls incomplete. That was Corey Quarterman. Corey Quarterman wearing DeAndre Rubin's number from last year. And he almost made the kind of play that Rubin has made here for years at Dixie Hollins before moving on to the USF Bulls. That's a pretty well thrown ball again.
D sets up, squared his shoulders away, delivered the football, and they wanted some contact there before it got there. You see Wells jump in front of the football and almost intercepted it, but before he jumped up, there was some contact between Antez Brinson and Quarterman, and now this is going to be one long field goal.
This will be a 49-yarder. Nikolic gets it up. It'll be well short. This is Wayne Wells. Wayne Wells, they have to come over here and get him. He could take this back for a touchdown, and he's going to go out of bounds. That's the final play of the first half. An entertaining, exciting first half here at Dixie Hollins High School as the teams go to the locker room with the Lakewood Spartans leading it by 1, 14-13 over the Rebels of Dixie Hollins. We will take a timeout and be back with our halftime show. You are watching the high school football game of the week on Time Warner Channel 7. Welcome back to Dixie Hollins High School. We're at halftime where the Spartans of Lakewood lead it by 1 over the Rebels of Dixie Hollins, 14-13. You know, for some high school athletes, football is a ticket to college. However, most high school students realize their dream of playing on Saturdays is slim. That's why having a little something upstairs not only helps their chances for a higher level of education, it also enhances their performance on the playing field. Case in point, 3 members of the Lakewood offensive line.
On paper, the middle 3 of the Spartan offensive line may seem a bit undersized. But with seniors R.J. Reed, Justin Wood, and David Meyerson, Coach Brook counts on their mental toughness as well as their physical ability.
They allow us the ability to create schemes on the offensive line and to be able to read different defenses and run plays accordingly. You know, if you got these kids that are of high intelligence, we can throw a lot at them, they can absorb it. And you know, the fact that they're of average or above average ability in their athletics allows us to just kind of do some things on offense that we normally are not associated with doing.
The trio are new starters on the line. However, they have been classmates since their freshman year.
Pretty much all linemen are cat, and so we can just, we communicate. We're really close friends too, so we know what we mean when we tell each other stuff, so we can get our double teams and who's getting the backer and just get everything connected.
Yeah, because we have so many classes together in the CAT program, we form a camaraderie in the classroom, which carries on to the football field.
CAT is Lakewood's Center for Advanced Technology, and the school is helping the Spartan Center to be technically sound.
On the way to the huddle, we'll call it the defense. We decide if we're going to gap the pass protection and just try and pick out double teams, or if we see smell blitz or whatever, just try and figure whatever we're going to do.
From grade point averages to yards per carry, these student athletes are competitors, and they try to guard against bringing their schoolwork onto the playing field.
I mean, I don't do equations when I'm at the line or anything, but I think about getting the right technique on the line and what blocking schemes we're doing and how I can change things up to my personal needs and what I can do and what I know I can accomplish.
We talk about how much homework we have and stuff, and how we have to get home quick because we got bunches of work to do at home.
It doesn't matter. It was going now.
No matter where he's nose lined up.
These Spartans definitely have a mind for the game, and they'll admit that sometimes, occasionally, football just happens to come up in conversation during school hours.
More than we probably should. But we talk about football a little bit in school, but mainly if we're in school, we're there to learn.
You know, a 4th member of the offensive line, Matt Morris, is also in the CAT program, but he's injured and not in the lineup for tonight's game. All 4 have GPAs and SAT scores well above the norm. We are at halftime at Dixie Hollins. The Spartans leading at 14-13. We're going to take a break and be back with an interview with the head coach of the USF Bulls, Coach Jim Levin. Stay with us. Back at halftime at Dixie Hollins High School, the Spartans leading at 14-13 over the Rebels of Dixie Hollins. Speaking of the Rebels, a former Rebel quarterback, now the head coach for the USF Bulls, Coach Jim Levitt. Coach, good to have you with us here.
Well, it's good to be here.
You know, you're over here, and I know you're taking a look at some guys, and we can't talk about that right now because of the rules of NCAA, but you have a number of kids in the program, the second-year program. You got off to a great start last week, a 39-10 win over Slippery Rock from Pinellas County, and a lot of talent in this county.
Oh, there's a great deal of talent here, and you're right. It's kind of fun being here after throwing a number of interceptions on this field myself years ago. But we've got a lot of guys. Chicoy Blunt from Dixie Hollins right here starts for us at defensive end. Glenn Davis, a former defensive back here, had a great game last week against Slippery Rock, and we've got Markwell Blackwell, a quarterback for Dixie, and DeAndre Rubin, who has done a great job. We're going to redshirt DeAndre and Markwell this year, but we've got a number of guys from this area and from all the local high schools around here, probably are close to 15 players. And it's a good feeling, especially since when you grow up right here and you're kind of biased about the talent, knowing that the talent in the Bay Area is very strong. It's fun to recruit in this area, and we certainly hope to keep doing that as hard as we can.
Well, we've done a great job the last couple of years of keeping a lot of kids home. A lot of kids came back and transferred after they didn't have maybe a great experience at some other schools. And I had the opportunity to do the sideline reporting for your opening game last year, and I never had a problem finding a coach in the stands. All the coaches were out watching, and they just thought it was wonderful that, first of all, you were back in town with the coaching staff from this area, and that there was a place for these local kids to go locally where their parents and everybody could watch them play.
Oh, you're exactly right, and you want to keep reminding these guys that it's awfully cold, a long ways away. And look how nice it is here, nice and warm and beautiful, and we try to encourage as many as the top players to stay home, play in front of your family, and South Florida is a heck of a university, a great place to get an education, and it's an opportunity that I didn't have when I grew up here, and I would have loved to have stayed in the state of Florida if I had the chance, but I never had the opportunity, so I went away to school. And what's nice about it is coming here and being a head football coach in South Florida and providing that opportunity to the guys that want that. We're not going to get all of them, but we're going to try.
Now you guys will close Tampa Houlihan Stadium, the last football game this weekend coming up against Valparaiso. Tell me a little about your football team this year.
Well, we're still pretty young. We've got 10 seniors on our team, and really we only have 8 juniors. So you can imagine, we've got a lot of freshmen and sophomores, and in one hand we're young, but in another hand we've got all 22 starters back from last year, so we do have some experience as well. We have a fair amount of speed. We run pretty well. We're trying to get as many good athletes on the field as possible. Our offense and defensive players have really got the system down a little bit better now. We still make some young mistakes, and that's probably going to continue for a little while longer, but we definitely got some great talent, and as we move into Division I, South Florida is going to be a program to contend with, I'll promise you.
All right, my good friend Mark Robinson, who hosts the Bucks Extra Point with me, does your color on the radio, and he said the one thing he's noticed this year is there's a lot more competition at every position, and that just creates for guys really going all out and makes for a good football team.
Well, there really is, and it's going to continue that way. And if you're at a Division I school, there's a number of people at your position. I remember going up to University of Missouri, and there was 9 other quarterbacks, and I was a quarterback for a while, not very long, and we just haven't had that kind of competition our first year. This year we have quite a bit more. You can only imagine how much more it's going to be next year as we bring in top players, like I said before, from around this area.
Well, great to have you with us here this evening.
Thank you very much.
Good luck
Appreciate
this weekend and the rest of the year. Get out there and support your Bulls this weekend. They close Tampa Stadium, the last football game in the stadium this weekend, and go out and support them the rest of the year. We'll be back here at Dixie Hollins, 14-13. The Spartans lead it by 1 at the half. Back at halftime, 14-13. The Spartans lead it over the Rebels. Brian Unk's back along with Eric Keaton. Nice to have Jim Levitt here with us this evening. Take a look now at the first half highlights. A couple of big plays, and Eric, it's 4th and 2. Dixie will go for it, and they get the ball out to Kenny Newton on the screen.
Well, Lakewood did not take a penalty here. They gamble, and they give him a short yardage situation, and Newton is just gone. They run the short little screen, and he just runs down the sidelines. A big play. Nobody in the secondary to stop him.
That was 1:52 left in the first quarter. 1:07 left in the second quarter. After a gamble fail from Dixie, they give the ball back in midfield to Lakewood. 1st and goal from the 5. Wayne Wells takes it the rest of the way.
They run the counter play, and he just, waltzes into the end zone untouched. Davis was clapping as he handed the ball off to him.
And take a look at the stats, fairly even. The one extra turnover by Lakewood has not killed them in this game.
Well, you look at the passing yards right there for Dixie Hollins, and Newton has 60 of those receiving. It's a really tightly contested ball game right now. The penalty yards, little short ones here and there, some equipment failures and some offside calls, but really a good, clean football game to this point. A lot of second half action coming up.
We will have the second half for you momentarily. 14-13, the Spartans leading it by 1. You are watching the high school football game of the week on Time Warner's Channel 7. Brian Ox, Derek Keaton back with you at Dixie Hollins High School, getting set for second half action. It's been a good one. Joe Deese and his Rebels trail it by the score of 14-13. Deese has had a big game. He's got a 42-yard touchdown pass to Kenny Newton and a 1-yard touchdown run. You see he's 5 for 7, throwing the ball well, 90 yards and 1 touchdown, no interceptions. And he's thrown the ball, you would say, sort of economically, Eric. They haven't thrown a lot, but when they've needed him, he has been there to make the play.
Oh, you know, Brian, he's halfway to the limit that Coach Morey talked about. He says if we have to throw the football 15 times, we're not going to be in good shape to win the ball game. But when you see those stats right there, those are pretty good stats. And, you know, and I think you got to keep the ball in his hands and let him put it up downfield. Newton is a barn burner down there getting open.
Well, let's see whether they try to cross them up on the first and obvious running situations, try to do the hard play action. You see Donnie Davis on the other side, 1 for 4 for 33 yards. And Tez Brinson came into the running back position and had a big pass that got them down in scoring position for their first touchdown. Lakewood. There's Mike Morey. First-year head coach. He's been in the program 8 years. He's been the offensive coordinator the last couple of years. His entire staff is a veteran staff, so it's not a new staff. The kids are used to him. Todd Wilson moving on down to the Naples area to start up a new program, and Mike got his opportunity, and a well-deserved opportunity. He's done a good job here the last 8 years.
Well, and the one thing, you know, they promote from within, Brian, and he's not changing a thing. You know, as we talked about earlier, you know, Dixie's always been known as a hard-hitting defense, a straight-up offense, nothing fancy. You know, he talks about we need to have 60 offensive plays to win the ball game. He's got 34 right now on the scorecard, so he's more than halfway home. He is on target, and they'll get the football here to start it right off in the second half.
Brian Brook on the other side, 5th year as the Spartans head coach, done a good year with that program down at Lakewood. His team leading at 14-13. The strength of the 5-yard touchdown run by Wayne Wells and the PAT from his kicker Greg Taylor. Dixie's PAT was blocked by Ryder Wooten, and that's the difference in this game, their last PAT. The Rebels will receive. They deferred in the first half, so they will get the football, and they will be going left to right as they change sides of the field here before the kickoff.
They got ready to kick it off, and the officiating crew said, wait a minute, let's turn this thing around and put the football down on this side of the field. You know, this is a big game for Lakewood. I mean, as we've been mentioning all night, if they can come out of here with a victory, you know, this is one of the toughest, if the toughest district in Pinellas County, the 5A-10. And they can, big wake-up call here tonight for the rest of the county if they come out of here with a victory.
You are right. In 5A-10, there are no nights off in that district play. They come to play every night, and they are physical and fast. You see this is the first district game, first week of district play. Right there, short kickoff. Coming down on the opposite side. That was 28. Nick Manarino with the reception at about the 33. Gets it up to about the 35. And the Rebels will take over, 1st and 10 from there. Normally you'd say that's a short kickoff. You don't want that, but they kept the ball away from the dangerous Kenny Newton, so that might have been a good idea, Eric.
That's true. He might be able to bust one open across midfield. I mean, as soon as the receiver caught the football, he was dropped, only gained a couple of yards. So good kickoff coverage. A short kick, as you say, but they held him to little or no gain at all.
But an effective one for Lakewood. 1st and 10 for the Rebels from their 35. Joe Deese is the quarterback. McCray is the fullback, Thomas McCray. Behind him, Darrell Kelly in the I formation. Kelly takes it. Kelly hit at the line of scrimmage, trying to break out of there, but will not get any more yardage. The defense does not yield, and again, the Spartans running to the football.
Ryder Wooten coming in that time. Antron Hester, the fullback, and we've got a player injured. It is.
Kelly's wobbling, hobbling after the hit. He got triple teamed.
Now he's down.
Looked like a knee maybe, or a leg. Hopefully it's just a cramp as he was fighting for extra yardage, and it's nothing more serious than that.
And here comes the handoff up the middle. You see him right there. He got tangled up in the backfield, and then Ryder Wooten grabs a hold of him. Now they're standing him up, and already I believe he's hurt because he's
running very gingerly on that ankle. Looks like the left ankle.
It's good to try to get the extra yards, but when you're hit by 3 or 4 guys like that, Eric, you need to go down so you can live to fight another day.
And he's holding the right shin or knee. In the contest right now, Brian, 8 carries for 22 yards, a little under 3, and they're having to help him off, and his evening may be over.
Just trying to put a little weight on, a little pressure, but right now it doesn't look great. Hopefully it's just a twist, or maybe he got kicked really hard in that shin. We'll have to wait and see if he comes back in the contest. Right now it does not look good. Give the ball to Taylor. Crushed in the backfield. Big hit. That was 64, Joe Goodboo. We talked about him gaining strength in the weight room, and he showed it right there as he laid a licking on the tailback.
Goodboo with a good night hit right there.
Reggie Crockett was the unfortunate recipient of that hit.
Yeah, he came in to replace Kelly, and he's like, geez, coach, thanks a lot. You didn't tell me about number 64. He just went in there untouched from his defensive end position.
Nick Manarino checks now into the backfield at the tailback position. Nick wearing number 28. They'll split the backs with Manarino. Actually, he'll line up in the tailback in the I formation behind McCray. 3rd down and 11. Play action Deese with some pressure. Dumps it off to Newton. He drops the ball. And they may call it a fumble as there was no whistle. I thought it was definitely a forward pass.
So did I.
If it was parallel, then it could have been a fumble and a lateral, and that's apparently what they called. Now I think they're trying to wave it off. Let's see.
Well, Deese looks like he's throwing it forward. You'd have to look and see where his feet were, but this is a good presence of mind by Newton. He doesn't hear a whistle, so he goes ahead and picks it back up just to cover the football. And now they're still going to mark it and just call it 4th down.
It was an incomplete pass. They finally signaled that, and even though he dropped the ball, the play wasn't there. There were a couple of Spartans out there to make the play, so it was well defensed that time by Lakewood. Chad Calhoun will punt. Deep is number 5, Antez Brinson. The little snap is low. He gets it off. Pretty good kick. Hits it about the 35. And we'll roll a couple of additional yards down to about the 32. So 1st and 10 from their 32 for the Spartans. Their first possession of the second half. 9:57 remaining here in the 3rd quarter. Lakewood holding on to the 14-13 lead. Hope you're enjoying Time Warner's coverage of the high school football game of the week. 5A10 matchup from Dixie Hollins High School. You see them tending to that right leg of Darrell Kelly, the fine junior.
Watch his right ankle as he's going down right here, down right there.
Gets kicked and turned, and he puts all the
turn right there, yeah, with 4 guys on him. Wainwright, Wooten.
That is not pretty. We've seen things like that in the past where these athletes have made remarkable comebacks, so we'll see what happens. Send a man in motion straight up the middle goes the fullback. That's Marcelo Church, and he does not get much.
Nothing much there, just a bunch of guys being guys going at each other, and may have picked up a yard or 2. This game is going to be decided here early. Lakewood has their chance. Whoever's controlling the line of scrimmage, they stop Dixie Hollins, and of course now with the big injury to Darrell Kelly, they're going to have to get a reserve back in there, so Lakewood needs to take advantage of it with their first possession here in the second half, Brian.
2nd and 9. Straight back Davis, quick hitter right through the arms of MacArthur Church. Fairly well thrown ball. Church tried to run with it before he caught it. It looked like he had a defender right on his heels, but it looked like that play might have had some potential.
Demetrius Hall's right on his back, but Church makes a nice move to the inside, and the ball just had too much steam on it that time.
3rd down and 9. See whether Dixie sends everyone here, and we'll see whether Brian Burke tries to cross them up. Maybe a running play. Marcelo Church is the fullback. Double wing. Straight back Davis. Rolling it out to the right side under pressure. Looks like he wants to run it. Sacked in the backfield. Running him down from behind was big. Number 60, Olden Colton, the fine junior, 6'3", 200, showed very good speed on that one, Eric.
Well, that time it's also going to be a coverage sack. You see McCullough giving chase, and here comes Colton. All the guys are downfield. Nobody coming back to give the quarterback any help, so Davis just has to tuck it and try to run upfield, and Colton grabs his shoestrings from behind and brings him down.
Davis with pretty good speed, and Colton running him down from behind. Wilder Wooten on to punt. Newton is the deep man. Hall the short man for Dixie. Good snap, flag is down, punt is away. Fair catch called for by Hall at the 43. Let's see what the marker is about.
Officiating crew going to talk about it. If it's, they had a good pressure that time. If it was illegal motion by the offense, you might want to make them kick it again. But if it's offsides, I would kick it again if I'm Lakewood, because you've given up pretty good field position for Dixie Hollins. But it looks like it's going to be against Lakewood because they're talking with the defensive captains for the Rebels.
Legal procedure is declined. Their signal from referee Ed Hughes. First down for Dixie Hollins.
Both teams hold. Brian coming out here early. Nobody really has the advantage right now.
Joe Deese coming out for his second possession of the second half. He will put it in play. First and 10 from the Rebels 43.
Two speedy backs injured, Kelly and Cedric Jackson for Dixie Hollins. So now they're going to have to go to the big guy up front, Thomas McCray. Start giving him the football. So far in this half, both teams they don't have positive yardage.
Reggie Crockett takes the toss, trying to cut it up, cuts it back, and nothing there. Number 10 in there, making a nice stop, is Mike Schaub, the linebacker. He's a junior at 5'11", 165.
And Crockett barely gets back to the line of scrimmage here. Looks like they want to send the call outside. As you saw McCray go over to trying to take the play outside, but Crockett wanted to turn it back upfield, and there was nothing there for him.
Nice job by Schaub. He got knocked down, got blocked by one of the receivers, but kept his head up, Eric, and made the tackle as Crockett ran right in his direction. Second and 10. That's the way you stay with the play and finish it. The ball at the 43. They'll split the backs. Play action Deese. With time now, running out of time, lofts it up for Newton, and he can't haul it in. Newton almost grabbed it, but right there, Julian Smith may have gotten his way enough to knock it away. The fine senior defensive back wearing number 9.
Well, that time Antoine Chance is putting a block on R.J. Reed. He's staying on him. Then finally Reed breaks through and forces Deese to throw that football a little too soon, and Newton almost came up with a nice catch. And at the same instance, Julian Smith was about ready to put a big hit on the little guy. But I believe he wanted to go for the football instead of Newton.
Third down at 10 so far in the third quarter. Neither team in sync offensively. Slot to the right side. Actually, trip receiver to the right side. Deese straight back, looking this way. With time, firing it deep, has a man out there, and it is intercepted and dropped. Almost intercepted by Brinson. The man out there again was Corey Quarterman. Was a long throw across the field. People here in front of him screaming, throw it, but that is a tough throw to square your shoulders and throw it that deep all the way across the field.
Well, he had time. You're watching the receiver now running out for the pass. Quarterman has him. You see him stop right there. He had him burned, and then all of a sudden he's like, well, here comes the football. I don't know if Deese could have got enough steam on that one to throw it downfield, but you saw him let up at around the 25, 20-yard line before the football came down, and so Deese had some pressure, and you never know. He might have been wanting to throw it, but when he saw his receiver stop, he held up.
Good point. Chad Calhoun with a fine punt. Brinson will let it hit at about the 26. We'll roll towards the Lakewood sideline, and it'll be downed over there by 48. Jason White, the junior. Jason's been very aggressive on special teams. He's the one who came up with the onside kick at the end of the first half to save the day momentarily for Dixie. That could have been further problems, and he was by himself on an island out there with 4 or 5 white shirts bearing down on him, and he held on to the football, made a fine play.
Well, the little things that count when you have to be heads up, and at that moment Jason had his head in the ball game. You never know when a call is going to come for an onside kick with a minute left in the half. Dixie right now -2 yards this half in 6 plays. They are definitely
not in sync offensively, but then again, neither is Lakewood. See if they can get something here with their second possession.
And some movement. Looked like one of the linemen, the guard, turned to the quarterback to hear the signal, and they called that an illegal procedure. 5-yard penalty going back against Lakewood, back to the 20. It'll be 1st and 15 from there. So we had an exciting second quarter especially, but things have been slow here for the first 5 minutes of the third quarter.
Well, I wouldn't say, Brian, that both teams are a little conservative right now. I think they're trying to get each other the feel for each other here in the second half. No humidity, no heat to worry about. Players are not cramping up.
Oh, wait a minute. There's always humidity here, Eric. It's
I don't
not
feel
as
it.
hot as it's been, but there's still humidity.
Well, those little guys out there may feel it, but, you know, usually we're sweating up a storm, and those the only guys out there it's wet is number 73. Exactly. You look at that blue uniform right now, it's navy blue. But let me tell you, compared to last Friday, these guys are loving this weather right now.
I understand. This is more of a fall evening, but it's always humid here. As you see Marcelo Church, or that's Brinson, he fumbles the ball, but it bounces back to him. A fortuitous bounce for Lakewood, and Brinson to retain possession deep in their territory. 2nd down and 15. Dixie playing tight man-to-man. Everybody pressing, trying to get the ball to Brinson. Behind him, well covered by 21, Joe Deal, the senior defensive back.
Dangerous pass that time. Even if Brinson catches it, he would have been dropped immediately for a loss. Deal.
That time,
read the
Eric,
play.
Dixie,
look at McCullough going over top of the defender.
Dixie basically with a 9-man front that time. The corners were in press man-to-man coverage, and everybody else was within a yard or two of the line of scrimmage on defense for the Rebels. So they are really crowding the line of scrimmage, daring Lakewood to throw it.
Well, I like what Dixie has done right now. They've placed number 9, Quarterman.
Same thing here. No safety.
Up in man-to-man coverage on Church.
Tight defensive set. Straight back Davis, swinging it out. Is that a fumble? It's going to be called a pass and incomplete. Trying to get it to Henry Davis. But again, with that tight defensive set, Lakewood will make that Dixie up the field in a hurry to break up the pass from Davis, heading out to Henry Davis.
And you have no guys coming over for a quick slant pattern, and Davis really upset over the effort by his receiver, and no tight end in the formation either. No adjustment made to put a tight end and maybe get a quick hitter off the line of scrimmage, and the guy would be able to run all day. As you say, nobody in the secondary for Dixie Hollins.
Ryder Wooten on the punt. You see Donnie Davis's numbers. Has not had a lot of time to throw the ball this evening. A lot of pressure coming from that Dixie front 7. Gets it off. Nice punt by Ryder Wooten. This is Kenny Newton. Back at his 46. Makes a tackle. Breaks another tackle, but swarmed under great downfield coverage on the punt team by the Lakewood Spartans, corralling the ever-dangerous Kenny Newton.
Kevin Barney down there to bring him down to the turf, and Newton, as you say, very dangerous, and now there is a player down for the Spartans. You watch this on special teams coverage. Here comes one hit. That stops him. Another Spartan comes in, and finally the guy's able to wrap him up. I mean, this kid can just get through, and you saw the one Spartan go backwards there. We don't have a number on him yet, but he looked like he had his left leg bending away, Brian, that you do not want it.
I think that was 22 Antron Hester, the senior fullback and defensive lineman. Looks like that's who it is. We see the first two, and I saw him flying in there on our replay. We've got his helmet off, and they're going to take a look at him right now. Take another look at it.
Watch it right there. You see him bending backwards. Oh.
The leg is not meant to go that way with a big guy hitting you. And that is an unfortunate.
But look at that.
But he's up. And the flexibility, they have those weight programs, and the flexibility once again paying off. It looks like he's going to be okay.
Well, remember the quarterback last year on the same football field. There you see Kelly, the quarterback for Clearwater, on the same field in the first week of the season, Chris Meyer, and we thought that his leg would never recover, and then next week he's starting.
That was ugly. He was back in within a series. I mean, I thought that he had an ACL or a really serious injury. It just was bent, and with big guys leaning on him and didn't give, and he got back up, and again, the flexibility. Exactly. He's going to walk it off his Hester, and good to see that. Hang in there, young man.
It was actually Antoine Chance that made that tackle that night, the big guy, defensive end, offensive lineman for Dixie Hollins.
1st and 10 for the Rebels from their own 46. Trips to the wide side, give the ball straight up the middle. This is the big fullback McCray. Move the pile up about 8 yards on first down. Good job by the big offensive front. McCullough, Lamro, Robinson, Chance, and Brown.
And Dixie Hollins is finally in positive yardage with that 8-yard run. There's 6 net here in the second half. And I was talking about you need to give it to big number 34. No production. Crockett, only 4 carries for minus a yard here in the second half. So you've got to go with your fullback to take you down the field, and he's the only setback in the formation.
The Rebels fans getting rowdy here in front of us, trying to fire their team up midway through the third quarter. They're trailing at 14-13, facing 2nd and 2. McCray right side. McCray with a cutback. McCray with a first down into the secondary. And he'll finally be tackled at about the 37 of Lakewood. Give him a gain of about 10 yards and another first down for the Dixie Hollins Rebels.
Well, Brian, he's the workhorse, and he's going to have to get the job done and hop on it and carry his team on his back down the field. You see him breaking tackles, moving into the secondary. Spartans hanging on for the ride. 10 carries last week for 40 yards, and he's doing it again here tonight.
Well, Eric, one of the reasons why we haven't had a lot of continuity, consistency possibly in this game is the lack of a number of veteran seniors, a lot of juniors on this football team for Dixie Hollins.
Yeah, but I kind of like that, Brian, if I'm a coach, building always for the next year, and it shows the athleticism they have from the juniors. Once again, McCray going up the field, his 11th carry now will push him up over 46 yards on the contest.
And McCray, one of those juniors, 5'10", about 190. He was the leading rusher last week, averaging 4 yards a carry. He picks up 5 yards on that crack. 2nd and 5.
Dixie Hollins now moving the ball down the field. Once again, they'll bring in the little scat back. Reggie Crockett's going to come in.
And getting down to business. Their big fullback going behind the big offensive line, running right at them. No more nonsense. Let's go right at him, says Mike Morey.
Well, that's what he likes to do. I mean, now he's getting up in the 42, 45 offensive plays here for the contest.
D straight back on 2nd and 5, rolling it to the short side underneath. Has a man for a first down. Has Demetrius Hall at the 23. Move the chains once again. And our Rebels are on the move.
Well, with the blitzing Lakewood Spartans, you got to like the call by Moore. Get the quarterback out of the pocket, just waiting for the receiver to break open. That's a nice pass. He just sneaks that one in there before the defender, Andre Davis, can get there. And then Demetrius Hall trying to stay in bounds to pick up extra yardage.
Another one of those juniors, and that was a fine pass. Fired it in there through coverage. 1st and 10 from the 23. McCray right side. McCray second effort into the secondary. Flag is down. This one may be coming back for a hold. So McCray had good yardage inside the 20, but where they threw that flag would be indicative of an offensive hold.
And that is going to be the call. Look inside right there, and you can see 61. Looked like he had his man pinned down to the ground because he wasn't too happy with his performance as he was banging his hand on the turf as he came up after the play was dead.
It's big Chris Brown, the junior, at 6'2", 260. Deese getting the play from the sideline as it's set up about 2nd and 3. It's now going to be 1st
and forever.
And 21, 1st and 20, 21.
Well, still, you got your fullback, and well, Crockett's in the game right now. But he's been the guy to get you in this position right now.
Crockett in at tailback, behind McCray, the fullback. Slot to the left on 1st and 20. Counter play to Crockett. Crockett trying to bounce it on the near sideline. Gets the corner turn and gets some of that yardage back. Gets back near the original line of scrimmage. Give him a gain of 10. It'll be 2nd and about 10.
Mike Schaub in on that tackle. Did not play last year for the team. Had surgery. Ryder Wooten, good blocking that time. And Crockett getting his first positive yards. Wooten staying with him, and the big hit coming up also by Antez Brinson. As you take a look at Mike Schaub there, had to sit out last season, had surgery.
2nd and 10. McCray, the lone back, trips to the short side for Deese. Play action, Wooten in his face, and Deese on his feet, firing it to the near sideline, almost intercepted. Trying to get it out of bounds, didn't get enough of it, and it bounces off the shoulder pads of Julian Smith, who had a wide open sideline here in front of him.
Well, I don't know what's more disappointing. Watching Ryder Wooten trying to take down the quarterback, that just shows you the strength right there at Deese. But then Deese
shouldn't have thrown this ball up for grabs. He was probably trying to get it out of bounds, but Julian Smith has to come up with that interception. You have to believe he thought there was wide open sidelines down the field to run it into the end zone. And once again, now we have another Spartan down. This one, R.J. Reed, who we feature, one of the players we featured during halftime.
Eric, Julian Smith was seeing our slow motion instant replay of him running down the sideline for about an 80-yard return. And
he was waiting for the call on Sports Report. That's what he wanted to see.
Reading about it in the paper, but didn't quite look at him before he tried to run it. But good effort. He was in the right spot. Good to see big 78 up. R.J. Reed. Our next game next week at Countryside High School. Big backyard rivalry in the North County. Clint Mitchell, Kyle Tefelsky, and Countryside against the big, strong Eastlake offensive and defensive front. It should be a dandy right here on Channel 7.
Eastlake. Big linebackers as well, and J.J. Fuqua running the football. Two powerful teams. See how they fare tonight. Eastlake will be coming off a big ball game against the Terriers. Joe Deese was 5 of 7 in the first half. Only one completion thus far here in the second.
It will be 3rd down and 10. They tried to cross him up with the play action, sort of a counter pass, but Ryder Wooten firing through the gap as he has done on 90% of the plays was right there as Deese turned around to try to throw the ball.
There's one guy right there. You just saw number 40, Jason Gingras. They threw to him one time last week for 8 yards. They've yet to throw to the tight end's way. Might call his number here.
Good-looking tight end, they said. Split the back, slot to the left, 3rd down and 10. Deese on play action to the short side, looking for Gingras. He is well covered, and he's going to throw this one out of the reach of Brinson and away. They were trying to do just that, Eric, get it to Gingras, but he was double covered by the linebacker and the secondary. It'll be 4th down and 10, and decision time for Mike Morey. And there is a rebel down at the line of scrimmage.
Well, it would have worked if Lakewood wouldn't have read it like a book. I mean, they had this play well covered downfield. Playing free safety back there, Antez Brinson, just making sure the ball gets out of bounds and out of play.
And that was Antoine Chance, the big guy down. He looks like he's okay. He's up and running off the field under his own power. Long field goal attempt coming up for Chad Nikolic. Chad Nikolic will be a 41-yard field goal attempt from the right hash. The holder is Deese on 4th and 10. Kick is up. It has the distance. It is wide to the right. Wide to the right by a couple of feet. It would have just barely, I believe, been over the crossbar. It is no good, and the score remains Lakewood 14, Dixie 13 with 3:29 left here in the 3rd quarter.
Well, you have to like what Coach Morey giving him a boost of confidence. This is a long field goal for Nikolic. It was just wide to the right. Let's see if it did have the distance.
I believe
it would have made it, Brian, but Coach Morey comes over to his field goal kicker after he misses this one, and he says, hey, not a problem. Maybe you'll get another chance. Keep your head up. There's still plenty of time left in this football game. 3:30 left here in the 3rd and a whole 4th quarter coming up.
Hey, we saw Michael Husted miss one from the exact same spot last week against Minnesota. 42 yards from the right hash, was wide to the right, so that's not an automatic for a pro kicker over 40 yards, let alone a high school kid.
And also Andre Davis was coming around and putting some pressure on the same area that he was kicking it.
1st and 10 from the 20 for the Spartans. Toss the ball to Marcelo Church. He wants to throw it. Has his brother down there, and it's caught. The DB misread the play. Church inside the 20. Look out. 80-yard touchdown from Marcelo Church to MacArthur Church. And the Spartans have stunned this Dixie crowd here in front of us.
Well, let me tell you, the Church family will be having fun this weekend if this score stands up. Little brother to big brother. Marcelo just a sophomore. Look at him, watch him square his shoulders and throwing the football. A beautiful pass. Now his brother had to come back from this one, but the defender is beat anyway. And now it's just a foot race. And he's got him by a mile. MacArthur Church scoring 6 points. He plays basketball too for the Spartans. He'll only score 2 at a time, but right there he picks up 6 in a big way, Brian.
Greg Taylor on to attempt the extra point. Dixie is stunned. The DB was in good position, Eric. He turned around, though, and was backtracking, lost his footing, and fell down. Kick is up, and it is good. 3:16 remaining in the 3rd quarter. The Spartans extend their lead to 8. They lead at 21-13. You are watching the high school football game of the week on Time Warner Channel 7. Back at Dixie Hollins High School, Lakewood stunning the Dixie Hollins Rebels with an 80-yard pass from Marcelo Church to MacArthur Church. The Church brothers hooking up. Marcelo Church, a fullback, throwing the ball. Dixie's defense was there, Eric. The defensive back, however, fell down. Corey Quarterman allowing MacArthur Church to grab it and take it in for the touchdown. The PAT's good. And the Spartans lead it by 8. Line drive kick. It's over the head of Kenny Newton. Automatic touchback, and that is a weapon when you get it into the end zone. Make the Rebels go 80 yards to try to get back in this game. Still plenty of time. 3:16 left here in the third quarter.
Well, that's just enthusiasm and by Greg Taylor. His team up right now, and he just kicked that ball over the head of the receivers. Now you take a look at Marcelo Church throwing it to Big Brother, and Big Brother catches that ball around midfield and he's gone. And right now Donnie Davis has got to be thinking, you know, geez, my two running backs have thrown the football better than I have tonight. But hey, all that matters is the scoreboard. And right now Lakewood right now in shape for the upset.
After the missed field goal, ball came out to the 20, and the first play from scrimmage stunning them with that pass. 1st and 10. Dixie trying to get back into McCray into the secondary. He's been effective, still on his feet. And finally spun down after a gain of 16 on 1st down. There is a Rebel back near the line of scrimmage.
And he's holding his helmet. I did not see who went down, but
looks like one of the linemen.
Let's take a look. You see Antoine Chance was in the backfield. Look and see if he's up, and I do not see him standing up. And I do believe that is him. He was down earlier, as you see McCray fighting for yardage, and the Spartans trying to strip him of the football.
Well, Eric, that has been the offense for Dixie here in the second half. When they give the ball to the big fullback, Thomas McCray, the junior, they have had positive yardage, a lot of times at least 7-8 yards a crack. They tried to run some other stuff off of it. You can't run that play every time. They tried to cross him up with some play-action passes, but Lakewood was there to answer so far here in this third quarter.
Lakewood is playing the best defense that they can. They know that they are overmatched up front. As you see Antoine Chance, one of the big guys getting worked on, obviously cramped up.
Let's give that
playing both sides of the football.
Let's give that front seven a lot of credit. A lot of those guys going both ways there. Antron Hester, Raphael Robinson, Joe Goodboo, R.J. Reed, the defensive front, the linebackers, Ryder Wooten, we've caught his number a lot. Henry Davis, we've called him a lot, and Mike Shaw has made a lot of plays. They have played a fine football game. The front seven, as has the secondary for the Lakewood Spartans.
We see everybody now going to take a little break. You know, they see Chance back there, you know, hurting with cramps, not having enough water in his system, and everybody now feeling that. But Lakewood has the momentum as the Dixie Hollins cheerleaders wanting their big guy to get back onto his feet.
Well, the stars, the Saturday stars for the Spartans, Tim Carter at Auburn, Vito Golson at UCF, Rashad Moulton at Mississippi, Antoine Youngblood. Then you go back years ago and you have Tom Carter in the NFL. You have William Floyd in the National Football League out of Lakewood High School. They've had a lot of great athletes coming out of Lakewood High School, football and basketball-wise. Great school for athletes down in South County.
McCray right now in the backfield for Dixie Hollins. 12 carries for 65 yards, Brian. Giving him a break here on this possession.
There's a dive play on the left side and absolutely nothing there.
Running it straight ahead with the smaller back.
That was Manarino carrying the ball. Tough to see the numbers on some of these running backs, Eric. We're back here at a low angle, not even in the press box in the camera platform. And when the small guys go up there in the big line, you can't always tell who's got the football.
Well, being at this low angle, you know, you'd like to stand up, but then with the light problem that we're having, you stand up, you can't see some of the numbers.
We have no light
to
read our notes here, so I'm sitting here with a flashlight.
We're not complaining, folks.
Second
we're having a great time.
Having a lot of fun. McCray off the left side, breaking into the secondary. He will move the chains once again out to the midfield stripe. It has been the Thomas McCray show for Dixie Hollins here in the second half. And again, give that big offensive line credit. McCullough, Lamro, Robinson, Chance, and Brown.
Well, there you see the blocks right there, McCullough and also Kennedy in the line now. Blocking because Chance is on the sidelines. But I have to believe if I'm Coach Morey, just keep on giving the football to big number 34 and let him carry you down the field, Brian.
Let's not forget the tight end, Jason Gingras. He's been doing a great job of blocking also. McCray, 12 carries for 77 yards. 1st and 10 from the midfield stripe. Give the ball to the tailback. This is Manarino. Not a lot there, maybe a couple.
Well, they're able to, just seems like every time one of the other guys touches the football, and I'm not knocking their abilities to get down the field, but you know, you have a fullback like McCray who's got some power, and then you see the push here. Coming up by the Spartans, they're ready for it. I'm surprised they're not stacking everybody on the line of scrimmage as Dixie was doing earlier.
Well, Darrell Kelly went off with the ankle injury. It looks like he's getting his pads back on him, may try to come back in the game. And he throws the pads away, so I guess he's not ready. And that's hurting them. 2 of their top tailbacks not on the field right now. Give the ball to McCray again, and McCray will have another first down as he gets inside the ball, just inside the 40-yard line.
Well, it's just a matter of time before McCray is going to bust a big one. You see the blocking, the push right there. Look at that huge hole, and then he just puts his head down as Mike Schaub tries to wrap up on him, but once he absorbs that hit from Schaub, he just falls forward for another 2 or 3 yards.
Brian Brook has called timeout. He's seen enough. He knows there's a lot of time left in this football game, and McCray's getting 7-8 yards at a crack with 41 seconds remaining here in the third quarter. He's going to talk it over with his defense. I want to remind you to join my partner, Eric Keaton, for Sports Report every Tuesday at 7 and 9:30.
That's a nice picture.
Looks like a guy full of wisdom in that shot right there.
I am involved in that shot right there, buddy. Let me tell you, that mouth may be open. There's some high words.
He is just espousing right there all kinds of sports wisdoms and details that you will see nowhere else right here on Channel 7 Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at the times listed on your screen.
We try to have fun on that show, and you know, all the highlights from tonight's action coming up. Also, turn out the lights, Brian, at Houlihan Stadium.
What
we'll
lights?
have a report. Turn out the lights, the big lights, right?
Yeah,
we don't have any lights up here. Our lights have already been turned out. Once Mother Nature said the sun will set around 8:10, 8:15, our lights went out.
The last week of competition, I guess the last event there will be a concert at Houlihan Stadium, formerly Tampa Stadium. 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line. McCray will try to get to the outside. McCray turning the corner. McCray with a gain of 5 or 6. That's one of the first few times they've tried to get him wide. Got a pretty good lead block from his running mate. That was Nick Manarino out there with the lead block.
You like the call, Brian. You're mixing it up a little bit. They had a short timeout. Ryder Wooten chasing him down. Receives a block by Lemro. Then MacArthur Church getting over there and helping bring down, but not before he picks up 6 yards.
Good gain. The only thing he's got to do is he's got to change hands with the ball, running to the left. He had the ball in the right hand. Fortunate it wasn't knocked away, but right now, hey, you've got to go with the horse that brought you here. That was the final play of the third quarter. With the score, Lakewood 21, Dixie Hollins 13. We will take a break and be back with what should be a very exciting fourth quarter of action. You are watching the high school football game of the week on Time Warner's Channel 7. Brian Augst, Eric Keaton back with you at Dixie Hollins High School, getting set for fourth quarter action. Big 5A-10 early season matchup between the Spartans of Lakewood and the Rebels of Dixie Hollins. Lakewood leading at 21-13. Thomas McCray with a fine game, 15 carries, 90 yards.
Getting those hands ready.
2nd and 4 for Dixie. McCray up the middle. Will come up very close to a first down. It will depend on the spot. He will be just shy.
Tough running here, trying to wear down the Spartan defense. He was using that towel to wipe off his hands so he can get ready to carry the football. You don't want any turnovers now. The Dixie Hollins offense has come too far. This is a long possession for them right now. Started back on their own 20-yard line.
Guess who's going to get the ball here? 3rd down and 1.
It's either a quarterback's keeper or you got to give it to number 34.
He's the lone back. McCray, trip receivers to the wide side. They'll try to spread the defense out. McCray off the left side, gets the first down, spinning forward and dragged down, and that could be a face mask. That was 30 Henry Davis, but Davis got a piece of that face mask and tore him down. That could be a big 15-yarder coming up right here. On the defense. Wait for Ed Hughes to sort it out for us. Let's watch it.
Take another look at it. Good call, wide open hole. Davis comes up, grabbing hold of McCray, trying to bring him down, but you can't bring him down. You couldn't see it, but he did pull the face mask. McCray already asking for the call, and he got it, and it's a big one, Brian.
Big one, 15-yarder. Inside the 20, they'll spot it. We'll call it at the 19. It'll be 1st and 10 from there. Make that the 14, excuse me. Me and my flat angle here. 14-yard line, inside the 15. 1st and 10 from there. Split the backs. Crockett and McCray, the backs behind Deese. This is McCray, counter step, not a lot there this time. Although move the pile to maybe the 17. Pretty good defense that time by the Spartans, front 7.
Well, right now in the short yardage situation, you know, only having 14 yards to go, Brian, they're going to stack the line of scrimmage and everybody pick a man and just take him on. And they'll be able to stop McCray. He got very little yardage, if 1 or maybe 1.5 that time. So the shorter field right now may be in the Spartans' advantage. Although they haven't been able to stop it now for the past 5 minutes. This possession right now for Dixie.
Call it a gain of only 1, 2nd and 9. Trips to the wide side, McCray the lone back behind Deese. Give the ball to McCray, left side, McCray into the secondary, McCray second effort, touchdown! Thomas McCray! 13-yard run off the left side by McCray. And Dixie has answered. It's now 21-19, and the question begs, do you go for 2? And yes, says Mike Morey.
So they're going to try to tie this football game up. Robinson had a chance to bring him down in the backfield, and McCray's like, hey, look, even my own men are trying to bring me down, but he stays on 2 feet, makes it into the end zone, leaving Marcelo Church and Antez Brinson on all 4s at around the goal line. They were not able to bring him down, and they were slow getting up. That drive right there, Brian, took a lot out of the Lakewood defense. You know, a lot of these guys double on the offensive side as well.
Dixie has less players, I believe, going both ways, and Lakewood may be getting worn down a little bit. Dixie will go for 2. They will try to tie it with 10:18 left here in the 4th quarter. Tight formation, no wide receivers, and they're going to call a timeout. Wise decision right there by Joe Deese. This is a big play, needless to say, Eric, in this football game.
I got to say, for Coach Moore, you have to spread this thing out because that's what was working. You know they're going to give the ball to number 34. If they spread it out, the Spartans have to go out wide and cover 3 receivers, maybe even 4, and then just hand it off to your fullback because the gaps will be open.
It's a 3-yard play. They put the ball on the 3 in high school football for the 2-point conversion. Well, we talked to Jim Levitt at halftime, and he was a Rebel graduate here, a quarterback years ago, and you see the Rebels at South Florida. Marquell Blackwell will redshirt. DeCoy Glenn Davis both starting this year. Davis is a sophomore, and DeCoy Blunt a redshirt freshman. DeAndre Rubin will also redshirt, but they're excited about all 4 of those Dixie Hollins Rebels over there playing for the South Florida Bulls.
Brian Glenn Davis played an excellent game at defensive back last week against Slippery Rock. Slippery Rock has one of the better quarterbacks coming out of Division II, and Kyle McCavish, and he was just all over the football field and buying time. And, you know, Glenn Davis and the other defensive backs have to stick with their receiver, and he came up with a very big interception. You know, a lot of talent on that USF Bulls squad, as I'm sure Coach Levitt was talking about. They have a lot of guys coming back. You know, still very few seniors on that football team.
Always great skill position players here at Dixie. You've got Marquise Fitzgerald down at Miami, a defensive back who's pushing for playing time this year, I believe, as a redshirt freshman. In the tight formation, power I. McCray, the fullback, play action. Deese, they're going to try a naked bootleg. Has one blocker. He's got it. Well designed and well executed play to bootleg by Joe Deese, and we are tied at 21 with 10:18 left in this one. Do not go away. We will take a break. You are watching one heck of a high school football game of the week right here on Time Warner's Channel 7. 2-point conversion ties it, and great block coming up here, Eric.
Well, first of all, they deceived the defense by running the bootleg to this side, and Demetrius Hall, you may not see it, but he's putting on the finishing touches of a 2-point conversion that ties this contest up. You see number 17 coming in, celebrating right there, as Deese is like, you know, I'm running with the football, I'm taking charge, and I don't know what was more exciting, that run or watching Coach Mike Morey on the sidelines getting fired up, jumping in the air, excited over the call, getting his team saying, hey, look, we're still in this game. We're not going to lose on our home turf.
High school football at its finest, the naked bootleg and run to perfection by the Rebels. Fine kickoff by Chad Calhoun. This is Brinson. Brinson up across the 30, fumbles the ball. It's on the ground. Who has it?
Well, by the reaction.
And the Rebels
are
making the Spartans. The Spartans have retained possession. Brinson, it may have bounced right back to him. There is a marker back near the 40. Antez Brinson running up in there with authority. Fumbled the ball, but I think he got it back. It's a hold against Lakewood. All right, so deal. Back 10 yards.
Yeah, see right there, after he got hit, he lost the football. He was carrying it gingerly, but as you say, it bounced right up to him. A lucky one for the Spartans, but they're going to be pinned back deep in their own side of the field right now at around the 19-yard line. They're going to have 81 yards to go, and now they need to make a long drive, Ryan. Dixie Hollins went more than 5 minutes on that last possession.
They don't maybe need to get a touchdown. They need to get the ball out there in midfield and reestablish the field position. Marcelo Church, the fullback, he takes the carry to play action. They give the ball off on the counter. That was Brinson on that wingback counter, and he's going to get nowhere. It's still spotted at the 19.
Well, Brinson gets stopped here in the backfield. Right here coming up by Thomas McCray. He's playing on both sides of the football, but then he made a nice spin move and was able to get close. He did get back to the original line of scrimmage.
Well, Eric, you talked about the long scoring drive. 80 yards, 12 plays, almost 5 minutes off the clock, capped off by the 12-yard run by McCray. Davis under pressure. He is knocked to the turf. Good rush there by 58 Todd Lamro, the fine senior defensive lineman.
Lamro is a tough linebacker. Coming up through the middle there, untouched. And just puts him down on the ground, forcing him to throw that football before it was time.
Not big, but he's quick.
The receiver, Hopkins, was running a slant pattern, but the football was thrown down and around his feet, and all because of the rush put on by Lamro.
Antoine Chance is checked out. I think he's still suffering from cramps a little bit. They're giving him a blow occasionally.
I'd go ahead and rest him.
Doing a great job with his offensive mates on the line. 3rd down and 10. Give the ball. This is Wells to the outside. Wells turns it up, will not get there. Could not turn the corner. Good pursuit running to the football by the Rebel defense. One of the first men over there was Olden Colton, number 60. He's had a fine second half.
Well, Justin Wood and R.J. Reed had the blocks. They're going to be leading the way, but they couldn't pick up anybody downfield. And then you see from behind, and he lost the football there. That was after he made contact with the ground. That wasn't a fumble.
Eric, that's
he was being chased by Olden Colton.
Excuse me, the 6'3", 200-pound junior Colton has run down a speedy back with that big arm band, sweeping him from behind to mess up a play for Lakewood. He is very impressive. Got good closing speed. Ryder Wooten gets it out of there. Fair catch called far by Demetrius Hall right at the midfield stripe. 8:41 remaining. Crunch time now for both teams.
Ryder Wooten, excellent concentration on that punt. Several times the Dixie Hollins Rebels have been right in his face as he was releasing it. And there you're taking a look at an injured Dixie Hollins player, Darrell Kelly.
And top that off with Cedric Jackson, the guy who's going to get the football.
Two of their top tailbacks are out.
McCray. Yeah, two of them not, but they're staying in this football game, tied up. Look at the defense now, the guys who have to get it done, including that man, number 50, Ryder Wooten.
Eric, he's one heck of a football player. He's been all over the field offensively, defensively, as you said, punting under pressure. Good-looking senior.
He's been erratic at times punting the football, but not tonight. He's been on the money.
McCray left side, not much there this time. Wooten up there to fill the hole. He had some help from R.J. Reed and company. Also Henri Davis in there making the hit.
Davis, 6'1", 220 pounds. Wooten disrupting that play, coming on the outside. Jarvis McCullough wrapping him up, trying to hold him. But R.J. Reed, not one of your bigger guys at 6'2", 210, but he's got some speed. And McCullough, now this would not be good for Dixie Hollins as McCray is on the ground.
McCray looks like he's got a cramp, but it's still very painful enough to come up and work it out. He's been running the ball an awful lot here, especially in the second half.
Well, now he's definitely going to have to come out for a play. You think one of the speed guys, maybe Dixie Hollins can mix it up, possibly run a reverse here, do something a little different, having the ball at midfield. 8:24 remaining, a tie ball game.
Oh, man, we can beat these cats, man. Let's 4-1. Hey, we can score with this mess, man.
You don't want to try anything too fancy. But with your guy who's been running the football all night on the ground and got to come out, and some of the other guys like Crockett have not been able to get the job done.
Well, Eric McCray with 20 carries for 110 yards. A lot of them here in the second half. And that's why he's cramping up. And he was hit big time on that play by 3 really good football players from Lakewood.
Well, they were ready for it that time. 1st and 10, they know who's going to get the football. And they're probably Ryder Wooten telling his guys, you know, he was upset in the first half, but after that drive, you know, he's got to be boiling in his head. He's got to be able to tell him, look, we have got to stop him here.
Still 8:24 left, but we might see a second consecutive overtime for this Dixie Hollins team. We'll see what happens. Second down at 10.
Last week.
Deese gives the ball to the fullback. Nothing there. It'll be 3rd and about 10.
Well, the Lakewood Spartans were waiting on that one. They know that the big guy's not out, but they weren't fooled by any play whatsoever. They just went ahead and ran the football up, and I do not see him coming back into the game. Talking about McCray.
Melvin Turt, number 32, the sophomore, 5'9", 180, was the ball carrier from the fullback position. 3rd down and a long 9. Timeout is called by the referee, Ed Hughes.
And Anton Chance is out there again.
Cramping up,
holding his
Eric.
left hamstring. And Kennedy's going out there, as you see Mike Morey going out. See what he can do for the big fella.
I want to remind you to join Eric Keaton on
I'm running wild.
Tuesday nights. Thought we were going to talk about our show. There it is, Sports Line, Tuesdays at 6 o'clock. You call in with any of your questions to the number on your screen. We'll talk about everything you want to talk about in the world of sports. Eric will be there hosting here in the fall. I'll be there sometimes. Jim Henderson will be there sometimes. Brian, we'll have all kind of guys there. Brian Syracuse sometimes. And just tune in to see who's going to be the mystery panel that evening.
Tune in to who's going to be sitting next to the left side of Eric. Well, we had some movement that time in the Dixie backfield, and it just depends on who. Just depends on who the official saw move first or move last.
This is a big penalty either way. It's either going to be 3rd and 14 or 3rd and a long 4, which really changed your play call if you're Mike Morey. If it's 3rd and 4.
False start.
It's going to be 3rd and 14 as they call the procedure.
Still 3rd down.
You heard Ed Hughes tell us.
Here in the second half, Brian, Dixie Hollins 109 yards. Total offense, Lakewood 72, but you have to remember they had -8 yards and got 80 of them off that one play. Church to Church, little brother to big brother, that gave them an 8-point lead, but football game is tied right now with 7:25 and clock running here in the 4th quarter.
Church to Church, sounds like a religious singing group.
Exactly. I can't wait to see how I'm going to say it on Sports Report.
Getting it done here in the second half. for the Spartans. 3rd down and 15. Play action, Deese rolling to the right side. He's going to keep it all the way. Ryder Wooten over there. Wooten slows him down. He's still on his feet. Joe Deese, what an effort. He's still going to come up about 4 or 5 yards shy of the first down marker, depending on the spot. But what an effort as Deese picks up about 11 yards, and it will be a punting situation. No gamble here by Mike Maury, tied at 21 after what happened to him in the first half.
Definitely. Now you punt the football. In the first half, you go for it. I still say, even though the Lakewood went down there and scored, you still go for it. A big pass play set them up in position. But now with your time running down here in the 4th quarter, you have to get rid of the football. No more gimmicks. I know both of you guys are smiling, but hey.
Chad Calhoun punting to the ever-dangerous Antez Brinson. Lakewood coming. Here comes Davis. Doesn't get there. Calhoun gets it away. It'll hit at the 15. Roll towards the sideline and be down at about the 14. Over there downing it, Jason White, 48. He's been all over the field on special teams. And there is a marker, Eric, back near the original line of scrimmage.
Possibly, how can you have holding? This will really hurt Lakewood. How can you have holding when a guy wasn't even going to return the football?
Well, their front 8 or 9 doesn't know that, and they may have, in their exuberance to make a play, held somebody up.
Well, they're bringing the football back.
Dixie saying it's at our ball. Now, if it's a post-punt infraction, the ball is in the air. It should be. They're going to say Dixie's going to get a first down. It was before the punt.
Wow.
Disastrous turn of events for the Lakewood Spartans.
Disaster isn't
during
the
loose
word
ball
I was
play, holding on the defense. 1st and 10, Dixie.
This is almost like a turnover, Brian. I mean, you're giving him the football.
Indeed, that's what it is. The ball at the 35-yard line. 1st and 10 for Dixie Hollins. A little private joke up here, folks, we don't care to repeat, but timeout called on the field. That's the 6-minute mark. It's the mid-quarter water break to try to keep the players from cramping up more than they have. 21-21, we have got the old-fashioned barn burner. Brian Brook cannot believe his luck, or his lack of luck on that last call. He's out looking at the officials, wondering, what happened there. I didn't see anything.
Yeah, he's discussing it right now with Ed Hughes, asking him.
That's a tough call.
You got to ask him for an explanation.
Tough call. If it's an obvious call, you have to make it, but it's a tough call in that situation.
We were watching the punt, and also Andre Davis looked like he might make an attempt to block it, but then they went ahead and set up the return. So we were watching where the football landed, and unfortunately in high school and also in college, they did not give you the number of who committed the infraction. Right now, just reminding his troops, all right, look, we got a bad break, not a problem. This game is still tied. They still have about 30 yards to go. Make a stand, stop them right now. Looking for a leader to come through. You know, that's something that Coach Brook talked about. He said his guys, nobody really wants to step forward and say, hey, I'm the leader of this football team, but he's asked for them to do it by setting the example. One of the guys is number 50, Ryder Wooten, who set the example, not only in practice, but here tonight on the football field. And that's what Coach and his staff will be looking for right now against Dixie Hollins.
And they're going to need to be conditioned because they have been going both ways, a lot of the front 7, especially for the Spartans. 1st and 10 from the 35 of Lakewood. Up the middle, McCray back in the game. Shakes off the cramp, but can't shake off an aggressive Spartan defense. He's driven backwards. Gets nowhere.
And that time coming up to make the hits on him, Antron Hester, also Julian Smith. We saw Julian Smith earlier put a pop on a Dixie Hollins Rebel. And the guys know that number 34 is going to get the football now. So they're just coming up and stopping his forward progress. Standing him up, not letting him put his head down.
2nd and 10, 5:28 and counting remaining in this one. Joe Deese, 6 for 13, 101 yards, a touchdown. Throwing the ball very well when he's had time against a pretty good Lakewood defensive secondary.
He's also ran one in from 1 yard out. Tied this game up with a 2-point conversion. He's not made any mistakes. He's had a couple balls that could have been intercepted, dropped on him. but he's made pretty good decisions back there.
This is Reggie Crockett. Can't get to the outside. Again, good team defense running the football. The Lakewood Spartans. It sounds like a broken record, but both defenses are run very well to the football.
Well, this time they try to spread out the defense this time. Run it to the right side, but Julian Smith is going to come up right there and cause Crockett to get out of the rhythm and try to spin out of the tackle before the rest of the guys in the white shirts were able to bring him down. 3rd and long situation. And the tight end's coming out of the ball game, so you have to believe that they're either going to run the football, Brian, talking about Deese, or they're going to throw a quick hitter to a wide receiver.
Well, Kenny Newton checks in. He's been the favorite target, number 26, the diminutive one at 5'6", 160, and I think that 5'6" maybe is generous. He's the wide receiver on this side, 3rd down and 9. Split the backs. Deese on play action, looking for the throwback, firing it out, incomplete. Hall had a step, but under pressure, Deese had to let it go. He had pressure from 22, Antron Hester, the fine senior defensive lineman for Lakewood.
Well, he had his receiver open, Hall open, the ball, he was looking for it already. Just gets his hands on it, and Hall was disappointed with the play, and I believe he was like, you know, Joe, you could have thrown that one to me a little bit sooner, but once again, as you said, Brian, the pressure was coming in from the Lakewood, and Deese wasn't able to set in time to throw the football.
Hester and our man Ryder Wooten also broke in there, Eric, so he was double teamed on both sides. 4th and 11, and apparently Mike Morey and Dixie going for it here. Why not? The ball on the 34. Field goal is going to be a 50-yarder.
And the tight end checked into the ball game again, and as we mentioned earlier, they threw his way at a critical play earlier here in the second half. Don't be surprised to do it again.
Newton this time in the slot, play action. Throw the ball to Newton, has the flanker screen. It's set up, trying to get to the outside. Newton will not get there. Run down from behind. That is a great defensive play, Frederick Wainwright. The speedy Kenny Newton looked like he had the corner turned, but he hauls him down a couple of yards shy of the 1st down marker, and the Spartans have turned back the Rebels.
You were talking about Olden Colton with his speed, but this time Newton has a lot of it for Dixie Hollins, and this time the Spartans come up from behind, and Wainwright just grabbing onto the little guy and says, hey, I'm just going to push him out of bounds. He knew where the 1st down yard marker was that time, the Spartan defender.
Frederick almost pushed him far enough for the 1st down. He shoved him forward a couple of yards, but it was a great play. Didn't have a great angle, but ran down the speedy Kenny Newton, and there is a Spartan down.
Over here next to the Dixie Hollins sideline.
And I wonder if that's the man that made the tackle.
Boy, you just keep on seeing this, Brian. This Rebels on the sideline constantly. Players cramping up. Not enough fluid in their system or the condition. That's Antoine Chance.
The Dixie player, and we'll see who the Lakewood player is. We don't have a view because the Dixie bench is standing in our way. It's Hester again, 22. We saw him go out earlier with a cramp or an injury. He's been all over the field here in the second half, especially defensively for Brian Brooks' Lakewood Spartans.
Well, now it's shoes on the other foot for Dixie. They have to make the defensive stand here now with 3:59 left. If Lakewood can get a good drive going,
Eric, this gives us a chance to talk a little bit, about the assistant coaches. Assisting Brian Brook at Lakewood, Mark Everett, Tim Henson, Alonzo Lester, Mary Marianic, Mike McGee, and James Robinson. Assisting Mike Morey, these all veteran coaches, Ed Hevia, Edwin Bryant, who was a great center here at Dixie years ago, Rodney Robinson, Warren Carrington, Jonathan Wiggins, and Ed Masterton. Both outstanding staffs for these head coaches.
And they really, you have to like both head coaches as well, because they often give their assistants the run of the gamut to do what they want, what other specialties, special teams, defensive or offensive coordinators.
Wayne Wells trying to get to the outside, has some blockers in front of him. Wells turns the corner, and he will be upfield. The late flag comes into the fray. He's near the 1st down marker.
He's near the track as well.
And that was almost a track meet. See him coming up holding his right hand as Wells on that opposite side. He's holding one of his wrists.
You got to wonder whether it was a holding call or whether he was pushed once he was out of bounds. We'll wait and see as Ed Hughes is coming up. It is a personal foul on Dixie, hitting him late.
Big penalty. That's going to march them out near midfield. Cut this field in half with 3:52 remaining in the game, and certainly change the offensive strategy of Brian Brook from deep in his territory. Now he's got a lot of time with which to work. Davis, the quarterback, the lone back behind him is Marcelo Church. Davis straight back, firing down the middle. And a flag for interference or holding. MacArthur Church was breaking out there, and they're going to flag Demetrius Hall for an apparent pass interference.
You know, right before this play took off, Brian, MacArthur Church realized he was on the line of scrimmage and needed to back off, and he backed off as soon as the ball was snapped. And then right here he gets his left hand pulled by Demetrius Hall. Don't know if that ball would have been called anyway, but they're going to call it.
Well, Davis that time, Donnie Davis stepped up and threw the ball like a college quarterback. Fairly well thrown ball. Had a lot of steam on it.
We were talking about earlier how Marcelo and the other tailback has been out throwing him tonight, so Donnie is wanting to hold on to his job.
So Eric, consecutive penalties amounting for 30 yards, put the ball at the 35 of Dixie. Marcelo Church cuts it up. Church into the secondary. He is going to be inside the 30 down to about the 27.
And they're running it to the right-hand side, Brian, because Antoine Chance is not in that ball game. They're running it right over there, and then right now they have Thomas McCray over there, the fullback, but they're running it right towards your camera. Justin Wood out there leading, but Church shakes off that block and decides to cut it up field, and he picks up 8-9 yards.
Good gain on first down. We'll call it second and a very short 2 or a long 1, whatever you prefer. Marcelo Church, the lone back, trips to the short side. Give the ball to Church, left side. Church into the secondary, has a first down. He is down to the 20. That's a gain of 7 yards. They are spreading them out. Trip receivers that time to the short side, a wide receiver to the left side, making them spread the defense, cover those receivers, and the big guy right up the middle, Eric.
Moving the chains and moving the clock, Brian. Now 2:54 and moving. And I would, if I'm the quarterback and if I'm Coach Brook of Lakewood, take every second off that play clock. You're getting into field goal position, just move the ball, run it right where Chance would be. Now you see Jarvis McCullough being moved over there alongside McCray for Dixie.
Wells in motion, run the option. Wells trying to get to the outside, turns the corner. Wells inside the 10. Wells crunched out of bounds right at about the 5-yard line. 15-yard gain. First and goal for the Lakewood Spartans. 2:29 remaining in this one. We are tied at 21.
Excellent call this time by Lakewood, mixing it up. They run the option play. Davis is contained. Now Wells is going to get to the outside. He outruns Quarterman. And then just putting his head down. Not Quarterman, he puts his head down and runs into Quarterman, chasing him out of bounds. Wells tonight, 11 carries, 58 yards.
Give the ball to Antez Brinson, the same play to this side, trying to cut it up. Brinson inside the 5. Brinson stopped just shy of the goal line at about the 1. Good cutback, but the Rebels would not allow him into the end zone.
I don't know if that's a flag on the field. I don't know, it doesn't look like a flag of field, just some debris there. As you say, Brian, they'll run it to this side. On the counter, he has blockers out there. The play gets disrupted a little bit by Newton in the backfield, but Brinson picks up big yardage on his 5th carry. One of the more important ones on the evening.
Play coming in from the bench. Inside of 2 minutes remaining. Second and goal from the 1. Marcelo Church is your fullback. The tailback is Brinson. Give the ball to Brinson and a flag. Dead ball foul. This could be a big penalty right here.
They could move him back from the goal line if they took too much time or they moved before the snap. Illegal motion. That's what it's going to be.
On the offense.
Now running play.
Legal procedure. Make it second and goal now from the 6, Eric.
Well, penalties got him down here, and Lakewood is wanting to call a timeout and discuss this with 1:32 remaining, a second down and goal from the 6-yard line, and Lakewood is going to call the timeout. You know, they got the big penalty out of bounds, the late hit. They had the holding call downfield to get him down here, but now they shoot themselves in the foot. They would have had a touchdown on that play.
Well, you talked about it on the last possession that the Lakewood defense was maybe sucking a little wind, a little tired, going both ways. Now it's turned around. It appears that the Dixie defense, without Antoine Chance, is winded, maybe a little bit down. Now Lakewood running the ball effectively. They'll move them back to the 6-yard line. They've been running that wingback sort of counter or sweep play, and we'll see whether they go to that and go wide from 6 yards out or whether they try to cross them up with Church up the middle. Basically, you've got to figure this is 4-down territory, although in the short distance they would, I'm sure, attempt a field goal.
Last week, Greg Taylor kicking the game winner. I have to believe you either run it up the middle or run it to the left. You want to get that football toward the middle of the field. Dixie Hollins going to stack that line of scrimmage. They have all game, as you've been talking about, Brian, and they've been putting everybody up on the line of scrimmage, not even having a safety, and now the field is shortened down to 6 yards.
That's a good point. You do need to run the ball a little bit to the left because this is a tough kick for a high school kicker, the wide right hash mark. Church the lone back. Wells in motion. Give the ball to Church. Davis is going to hold on to it because there was a lot of contact when he tried to give the ball into Church, so I'm not sure who carried. I think they both carried that one.
He carried McCullough as well. I mean, he was lucky to not, I don't know if he wanted to hand the football off and he saw the blue jerseys getting in his face and he just decided to tuck it under and run it. And there you see Antoine Chance as the clock is running on the sidelines, and boy, could Dixie Hollins use him right now to plug up the middle.
Well, that time they did a pretty good job without him, but they did move the ball a little bit more to the middle of the field.
Another guy you don't see in there, Brian, has been out for a while, is Casey Tolson, the nose guard, somebody who they talked about big, and he's not in the contest either. Both teams now, huge play, could be the play of the ball game, 3rd down.
Big 30, Henri Davis now in the game at fullback. Haven't seen him much. Henri Davis takes it left side. Davis will not get to the end zone, but he's down again to about the 1. 4th and goal from the 1. Decision time for Brian Brook. Think he would probably go ahead and try to kick it. The clock is running down inside of 32 seconds and counting.
Well, your man kicked you a 35-yarder to win the ball game last week, and you got to call on him to do it again. And now the Dixie Hollins players, take a look at this last play. They run it to Davis. He's got the push, but too many blue jerseys that time, and he almost lost the football, but he might have been down already.
The Dixie team coming over to their sideline with their hands in the air. I think they want Brian Brook to go for it. They think with a big fullback in there they can get it on 1 yard, but we'll see what Brian decides to do.
Well, Taylor is in the ball game.
The percentage play in high school, Eric, is the kick. The percentage play, it's football, but maybe not in high school. It's not an automatic. A field goal or an extra point is not a given in the high school game. So this is a tough decision for Brian Brook right here.
It sure is. I mean, right now Taylor, he has an average leg. He's a soccer player. He's not going to boom it, but he only has to kick it just a few yards to get it through. And they did run it over to the left-hand side and get the football placed in the middle. This current drive right now, Lakewood has eaten up 3 minutes and 30 seconds, 8 plays and 72 yards. A lot of those yards, they'll help by 2 penalties, but they also shot themselves in the foot with that illegal motion that got them back to the 6-yard line. And I do not see a kicking tee out there, or he is stretching out. Taylor is stretching out his legs. They are going to put it down and try to win this ball game, or at least
it's a yard shorter than an extra point. It'll be a 19-yard field goal. Brinson is your holder. Kick is up, and it is no good. Wide to the right. Unbelievable turn of events, and I smell overtime, Eric. 24 seconds remaining. As I said, it is not an automatic in the high school game. He got the ball up. There was heavy pressure coming from both sides of the Dixie line, as you see it again right here.
Coming from the outside, cannot see who put the pressure in front. The snap looked good, the hold looked good, the football looks like it's on its way, but the official's right there. Back judges wide right. 1st down and 10 on the 20-yard line for Dixie. 24 seconds. What do you do, Brian? You go for it. You got a quarterback there, can throw the football to some speed receivers. You just take a knee and take your chances with the Kansas tiebreaker.
And you get ready for overtime, Eric. You don't want a turnover or any kind of a goofy play here that'll cost you a victory. You just dodged the bullet. You almost had an L in the loss column there.
This has got to be deja vu. You missed the field goal where you won it last week, and you have to take your chances with the Kansas tiebreaker, and that's what we're going to do.
There's your knee, the Kansas tiebreaker. Will be coming up, barring a timeout called here by either team. That will be the final play of the contest. The clock ticking down inside of 10 seconds now. We're tied at 21. We'll end regulation tied at 21, and we will go to overtime. We'll take a timeout. We'll be back to set up the Kansas tiebreaker for you. Do not go away. You're going to be watching overtime in one heck of a high school football game of the week right here on Time Warner's Channel 7. to the Dixie Hollins Rebels cheerleaders. You are indeed watching one heck of a high school football game of the week right here on Time Warner's Channel 7. We go to overtime, tied at 21. It'll be the Kansas tiebreaker. They'll get the ball on the 10-yard line. As you look at the kick one more time, he got it up in the air, plenty of distance, but air just wide to the right. Tough call right there for Brian Brook on 4th and goal from about the 1. He's over there talking to his team. And how this works, the first team gets the ball. If they score, whether it's a field goal, a touchdown, or touchdown and an extra point, the other team gets an opportunity to match that score. If they don't score, the other team gets the ball. All they have to do is kick a field goal to win it. We go back and forth until somebody wins it. If they end up the first overtime tied at 3, 6, or 7, we go to a second overtime until somebody wins it outright.
Well, this is the exact same situation that Dixie Hollins was in last week, so they had the advantage. They know how the system works for Lakewood. You know, the one thing that Coach Brook has to remind his guys is telling Greg Taylor, you may get another chance to kick another field goal, so shake this one off, guys. Do not let the momentum change. Everybody's going to get one possession, so we could go 2 or 3 times with each team scoring back and forth.
Big Antoine back on his feet. Looks like he's going to get his helmet back on. They've gotten some liquids in him. He's been cramping up, as have a number of players from both teams. The captains will head out towards midfield. They'll talk about big strategy here, who gets the football. A lot of coaches want to give the ball to the other team first, so they'll know when they get the ball whether they have to score a touchdown or a field goal. They know what the situation is.
Second half, Dixie Hollins 133 yards, Lakewood 152 yards. You can't get any closer. The score indicates it. And you talk about Lakewood scored in that second half on a big play where Dixie took it down and drove down Lakewood's throat and was able to put it in with their big fullback. And then the 2-point conversion by Joe Deese, Brian. Gutsy calls tonight on both sides, both officials.
Indeed.
Both head coaches.
Both coaches have brought all the plays out of their playbook this evening. Some have worked, some have not. When they haven't, it's been good defense. Both teams have played fairly good defense this evening. Dixie Hollins bench getting ready.
They are spread out, and Lakewood's still in a huddle. Some of their players watching as the officials are in midfield discussing it with the captains. Danny Robinson and Joe Deal out there for Dixie Hollins, and Wayne Wells for Lakewood. And also Ryder Woot.
All right, it looks like Dixie will have the ball. They're going to go to the goal line on our right. They'll have it first. So Lakewood apparently has won the toss. I think deferred to take the ball. We did not have the referee's Mike Ed Hughes. So Dixie will have it first, and Lakewood, when they get it, they will know what their lot in life is. They'll know whether they need 3, 6, or 7 to either win it or tie it. And that's what most coaches prefer. If they win it, they usually let the other team have the ball first. It is a gamble either way, as this whole game has been. Both coaches have been matching wits. The players have been executing the game plan, and it's been one heck of a high school football game of the week. Hope you're enjoying our coverage right here on Time Warner's Channel 7. We'll be at Countryside next week. The explosive Eastlake Eagles will be visiting the up-and-coming Cougars of Countryside. Don't miss that one. 21-21 in overtime.
And the following week, we got 2 games for the price of 1.
Thursday and Friday. You got a bonus game the following week. Power I formation. McCray the fullback. Straight up the middle, big McCray, not much there. He gets to about the 8.
Well, you know he's going to get the football, Brian, and if I'm Lakewood, I challenge Dixie Hollins. I say, okay, we're going to stop number 34, challenge you, beat us some other way. You're going to have to put it in the air, give it to another running back, some other play than by giving it to number 34 up the middle.
There's a lot of hitting going on in the middle right there on that play. 2nd and goal from the 8. Power I formation again. Crockett the tailback. Manarino, the right running back. McCray, your fullback behind Deese. Deese, broken play. This happened last week against Clearwater. This could be a disaster. Deese is going to be sacked. No, he stays on his feet, but he's tackled back at about the 9. He salvaged about 6 yards, got back near the line of scrimmage, but a broken play again, Eric.
Yeah, they scored on this last week, but not so lucky this time, and Lakewood had a chance to pin him back, for big yardage, but the guys are tackling up high. Here's Deese rolling out, trying to make something out of nothing, caught near his 20. Wainwright coming over there, has him. Had a chance to take him out of bounds at around the 13 or 14, but Deese, with his strength, was able to get out of it.
Looks like
salvage a little.
They wanted to counter toss, but the one back went the wrong way, and alertly Deese just didn't toss it back there, expecting the back to be there.
Well, do you run it up the middle now, trying to get in field goal position, or you got to throw the football into the end zone and kick it from there?
Play action. Deese with time has a man out there, overthrown. Pretty good coverage coming late from Antez Brinson, causing him to throw the ball high in the direction of Demetrius Hall. 4th down and goal from the 9, and here comes Chad Nikolic to try to give the Rebels the 3-point lead.
Not very much of a play action pass. Deese flicking it out there in the end zone. Had a couple receivers. You see the tight end right there. Gingras, he wanted the football to come his way, but of course he may have been sliding open after the football had already been released.
It's going to be about a 26-yarder, left to right angle. Chad Nikolic, the junior kicker, Deese the holder. Kick is up, and it is good. He bowls it through. Dixie Hollins takes the 24-21 lead in overtime. Lakewood now will have the football. They will have a chance to win it, Eric, with a touchdown, or they can tie it with a field goal to send it to a second overtime. The only way Dixie wins it now is if Lakewood fails to score on their 4 plays.
And the only way you can think of them failing to score, because if they can get the field goal to tie it or score the touchdown to win it, is you do not want to have a turnover. They turn the ball over on 1st down, game over. Dixie Hollins wins. Good snap, good hold. Great concentration. Nikolic keeping his head down, concentrating on the football, and bangs it through. Puts the pressure on Lakewood to go 10 yards in.
Is his heart palpitating or
He's
what?
Like, please,
it's bouncing through the shoulder pads. You saw him holding it. Marcella Church in at fullback. Antez Brinson, the tailback, behind Donnie Davis. The wingback is Wayne Wells. Church is hitting the backfield and driven back. No, with the ball. Donnie Davis keeps it. Touchdown. Lakewood wins it. Everybody, including me, thought Church had it. Donnie Davis pulled it out to avoid the fumble, and he alertly takes it up the middle for the 10-yard winning touchdown. And the Spartans win it 27-24 in overtime. What a football game. See it again. He holds the football right there, pulls it back out to keep the fumble from occurring. And Donnie Davis, the athletic quarterback, alertly turns it upfield. That's a broken play, 10-yard touchdown. Great effort by this junior quarterback, Donnie Davis. 4 rushes, 15 yards, 2 touchdowns this evening. Unbelievable turn of events right there. What an effort by Donnie Davis. A fitting way to end this high school football game. It went back and forth the entire evening, and a big play, a heady play by the junior Davis, giving the win to the Spartans. We'll take a break and be back with our post-game show. You are watching the high school football game of the week on Time Warner Channel 7.
Back in Rebel country where there has been a stunner. The Spartans with a 3-point victory in overtime over the Dixie Hollins Rebels. Eric Keaton back on the sidelines with Ryder Wooten, the linebacker for the Spartans. And Ryder, you guys come away with a big victory. You made a statement tonight.
Yes, we did. The paper had us down by 7 points. We came out and showed them that we're better than that. We have a very good team. We're very small, but we have a lot of good talent. It's not the best talent, but it's together. When it comes together, you see what happens. We come together and we pull it out in the end. We have a good quarterback. He's young. He'll be good. Donnie Davis. We got Andre Davis. He's young. He'll be a linebacker. He'll be a real big help. We got just a lot of young players. We got a lot of young old players, and we just come together and we play together.
Ryder, you're a very emotional player on the field. What were you saying to your guys in the first half? Because our cameras followed you a couple times, and you were just letting them have an earful.
Basically, Coach gave me the job. I'm the inspirer. I I guess you could say I cuss him out.
Thanks a lot, Ryder. No, you're all right, Ryder. Thanks a lot. Let's go ahead and bring in one of the guys who brought an 80-yard touchdown run, MacArthur Church. MacArthur, how many times do you and your brother practice that game in the back? Practice that play in the backyard?
You know what I'm saying? You know, we do a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying, in the backyard, you know what I'm saying, go throw the football sometimes, but you know what I'm saying, it was practice, you know what I'm saying. If the line didn't block, you know, that wouldn't happen. So it was just, you know what I'm saying, a team game. I caught the ball, they caught the ball, you know what I'm saying? It's one. We has one.
Coach Everett didn't want me to talk about basketball, but it's nice to score them 6 at a time instead of 2, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I can say that. Yes, it is.
All right, MacArthur, congratulations. Big victory for you guys tonight. Let's bring in the head coach, Coach Brook. You got to stop winning them this way and overtime and winning on late field goals. What did you tell your team after Taylor missed that last one there in the closing seconds?
Well, you know, after we came back last week and then we were able to push the ball down the field in less than a minute and score that one, and we learned a lot about the character of our football team. You know, there's not a lot of quit in them. You know, I saw that dog start to waver a little bit tonight. I don't know, they maybe lost a little bit of self-confidence there, but you know, it's still the nucleus of their thinking was there. I mean, they don't quit. This is a good character football team. They know that we're not big and we're not deep, and that almost every game we get into is going to be a dogfight. And so we're prepared to play 48 minutes, and then we're not going to quit until that last gun goes off.
You were telling me before we went back on the air that you can't remember the last time that you beat Dixie, and this is your first victory over the Rebels.
Right. This is my 7th year at Lakewood, and I've never beaten them. We've been in the district with them. This will make our 4th year now, and so I guess we're 1-3 against the Rebels.
Congratulations, Coach, and congratulations to your players. Good luck next week.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, Brian and I are going to be back to wrap this thing up. A stunner again in overtime. The Spartans pull it out here in Rebel Country.
Welcome back to Dixie Hollins High School. In a thriller, Lakewood wins it in overtime by the score of 27-24. Brian Unks here back along with Eric Keaton. And Eric, let's take a look now at the highlights in the second half, and what a second half it was. We've got about 3 minutes left in the third quarter. 14-13, Lakewood leads it. Pitch the ball to Marcelo Church, and he'll throw it to his brother MacArthur Church.
As we just talked with MacArthur, a little backyard play, 80 yards on this play alone. They only had 150 in the second half.
The extra point is good. It's now 21-13 favor of Lakewood. 10:18 left fourth quarter. Thomas McCray, he was the horse in the second half for Dixie. He takes it 13 yards off the left side.
Constantly this play, just run him tackle to tackle. This time making his moves, left the defenders laying on the ground, but he's standing up in the end zone.
Joe Deese 2-point run ties it at 21. Greg Taylor will try to win it right here. 4th and 1 with about 20 seconds left. He'll miss it wide right.
Everything looked good. Taylor won in the football game last week, but this one just did not go through the uprights. A short kick.
Dixie has it in overtime. Their drive stalls after a broken play. Chad Nikolic from 25 yards away.
This was a beautiful kick. It looked clean. Everything. The pressure was up. Didn't matter. He concentrated on the football. Dixie thought this might win him the ball game.
24-21. It's now Lakewood's turn to try to drive it in. Broken play. Donnie Davis pulls it out of Church and takes it in for the touchdown.
How ironic, Brian. McCullough was in there, was going to make a huge hit on the first play, and Davis, you know, he fooled us up in the press box. We thought that it was a busted play, but he's celebrating in the end zone.
Final stats, it's a fairly even game, and, you know, it turns out that way in overtime, 27-24.
You know, I talked about Lakewood, the passing yards, 140, 80 of them came on that one play. Very balanced attack on both teams. You know, what more can you say? It's too bad that somebody had to lose.
Heartbreaking loss for Dixie Hollins. We talked about that you don't want to say this is a must-win early in the season, but it really almost was. Now the Rebels will have their backs against the wall in 5A10. They've got a good enough team to come back, but they're going to have to play every week.
That's true. They are a tough football team. Mike Moore, you know, should not be disappointed. His team stuck in there, and they came back when they were down 21-13. A lot of gutsy calls tonight by both coaches.
Indeed. Congratulations to both teams. Did an outstanding job. It was one heck of a high school football game. Tonight's game, I want to remind you, was brought to you in part by Sunset Stitches in the Pinellas Square Mall. 522-6267, the number to call. Next week, we will be at Countryside High School. The powerful Eastlake Eagles against the up-and-coming Countryside Cougars right here on Channel 7. Do not miss the North County rivalry. We're going to wrap things up right now. Final score once again, Lakewood 27, Dixie Hollins 24 in overtime. For my broadcast partner, Eric Keaton, producer Brian Siracusa, director Ed Botker, and everybody else here on the Time Warner Sports crew, I'm Brian Unks. Thanks a lot for joining us. We'll see you next week at Countryside. Until then, take care, everyone.